Good morning, everybody, and Happy New Year. Happy 2022, if you had anything to celebrate for. Anyway, welcome to the first episode of the Week in Review for 2022, or episode 30, as most of you probably know it. I'm still working on volume level controls, because I finally got OBS to take my voice and do it correctly, for once. But, sorry for being late. It's just kind of a lot of show prep. We've got a lot of stories for you this week. I've got a couple opinion stories. We even get to poke fun at Tony for not preparing for this. Just slightly, but it'll be fine. So anyway, as per usual, I have my two cohorts, my partners in crime, say good morning to Tony and Scott.
Good morning, people.
Morning.
So, personal weeks in review. Not really sure I have a lot to cover this week, to be perfectly honest. By all accounts, I think I had the Rona. At least by symptoms, by duration, length of recovery and treatment and everything like that. And it's because I put my mouth in places that shouldn't have been, that kind of situation. But I'm still healthy and alive, so I guess I'm not compromised enough to be a danger, which is cool. And because my folks had the J&J vaccines, they never picked it up off of me. So, not even a hint of it, which is really weird. Originally, I thought it was just the cold or the flu because my boss had come into work and he looked like death on the first day, and he just slept in his office most of the day. And then on the second day he showed up, he didn't look quite as bad, but I was still annoyed that he came to work, even though he came late. And he kept orbiting around everybody, and the day after that's the day I got sick. So on the third day for him, he showed up to work like nothing happened. And I'm just like, what the hell? Why do I feel like dog shit and he's perfectly fine now? So he got the jab and every booster imaginable, which makes me believe that he got over it very quickly because he had a mild case. At least that's what he keeps getting told, and that's what the media keeps saying. So even though he looked bad on the first day, he was already on the mend by the second day, and he was fine by the third day. Whereas I'm unjabbed, and because I don't want nanites, I don't want to become like some freaking what's that movie, The Bourne Legacy, where it had Aaron Cross and that one lab dude all of a sudden snapped one day and became a mass shooter. It's almost like someone flipped a switch and mind controlled him. So for the Reynolds Rap E Honda segment of the show, it's like I don't want those damn nanites in me. But because of that, I caught something and I freaking had to deal with it for 8 or 9 days. It was pretty shitty. It's just I'm trying to figure out where I got it from. So it's like, is it because I put my mouth in some place that I shouldn't have and I picked it up from that person, or is it because my boss was sick and I picked up whatever he was carrying? I'm not really sure. But either way, it was pretty miserable. I didn't have a fever, but I had a headache that lasted 9 days, and I still have congestion or whatever, but that's mostly my allergies. So it was like that on top of sickness congestion, which was just, I could have just hacked up Slimer and spit him out against the wall every 10 minutes. It was bad. But I'm over it, which is fine. Christmas came and went. We did do the Christmas special. As predicted, I gave out gifts to a bunch of people and didn't get shit from anybody, not even family, fuckers. So, yeah, when their time comes, I'm just going to find the most, abusive old folks home I can and just stick them in there. Be like, remember all those Christmases you didn't get me shit? Yeah. I'm kidding. Can't put Dr. Dementia in there.
Are you?
Yeah, am I? Let's see, what else do I got? My carry pistol count on my desk is getting disturbing because I've decided to do some like spring cleaning in the winter. For some reason, uh, my desk where I'm broadcasting from, it's it's a microcosm of organized chaos. Like I look at it and like everything I need is right over here, right? Like I can just smack my hand around somewhere and find what I'm looking for within seconds. But if someone were to walk in here and look at it, they'd just be like, "How can you live like this?" Like the worst part of my desk is for some reason I'm getting junk mail by the metric ton, and I usually accumulate it and then tear it up and throw it away. But it gets to the point where it's like the only reason I start tearing things up and throwing it away is because it stacks up so high on the side of my desk that I can't see my second monitor. And I'm like, yeah, this all got to go. And it's, it's the usual crap. It's like we want to sell you more debt, or we want to sell you refinancing of your consolidated debt if you have it, which they don't even know if I have it or not. And then it's like, we know you signed up for paperless billing, but here's a bill anyway. And I'm like, what the hell is this? And it's like I have my car payments done on automatic withdrawal, and yet they're sending me statements anyway, even though that also is on paperless. Whatever. Um, and then the usual 50 million credit card offers. And once upon a time, my dad used to say this, and I thought it was really funny. He was like, one of these days, I want to be too old and too feeble, and not remember what I had for breakfast in the morning. And I'm like, wow, premonition. And he was like, I'm just going to take all these credit cards, take the applications, and accept every one of them, have them send me all the cards, cash advance all of them, and just leave the country. And I'm like, how would you leave the country? He's like, I don't know. I'd probably buy an Aston Martin and drive to like Tierra del Fuego. And I was just like, that's a brilliant idea. I think I'll do that too. So anyway, yeah, Christmas came and went. Every day after Christmas was meh. Um, at work, everyone was sort of in holiday mode because it was, two consecutive 4-day work weeks, which I'm not opposed to. It's just I don't like getting used to them because then I want them on all the time. And ideally, you know, what I'd really like to do is come into work at like 8 and then stay until 6 for 4 days, get my 40 hours in, and just have 3-day weekends forever. That'd be great. But I don't think my shop could allow it just because of what I do. So they can't really swing me missing an extra day just because they wouldn't know where to put the extra day. Because Mondays are busy, Fridays are really busy, and that's what I would want is either a Monday or a Friday because I already have weekends off. So it's like I want it, but I can't get it to happen, even though I just had it last week and this week. It's really nice too because for some reason, my first day of a weekend, nothing really gets done. Like I do the show, and then I plan on doing things, and then I make a list of like 5 or 6 things I want to do, and then by the end of the day, if I'm lucky, I did one of them. Um, that's why I started doing the show on Saturday mornings anyway, was because I wanted to sort of force myself into a routine and then make better use of my time. And then on Sundays, it's usually I got to do everything at once, and a lot gets done, but then I can't go and do anything leisurely, right? So that sucks. But on a 3-day weekend, it's kind of different because I get one day just to fart around, and then on Saturday here, the show, and then during my farting around on the first day of a 3-day weekend, I actually do get a few things done. So then by the time Sunday rolls around, I don't have a lot to do. So then I can go to like the indoor range or whatever. Because today, right now, here's your weather report. It's 81 degrees on January 1st in Houston. But 12 hours from now, it's going to be 30 degrees. So we're going to have one hell of a cold front come through. And I've got to drive over to George's places later and put the hardtop on the car because I think I'm gonna be unconvertible for the rest of the winter. Because once the first one comes in, they're gonna pop through like every couple of days. So I'd rather go ahead and just put it on now while it's still warm. and give the car one good scrub down before winter. Because it's dirty. Like, the quarters are so dirty that somebody's kid walked up right behind the back wheel and fingered in a smiley face in the grime. And I was like, I used to be that guy. I used to be that kid that did that. And then I realized that little greasy paws that do that scratch the paint. And then I would get murdered if, it was a nice paint job. Well, my car's, it's base and clear, but it's a white paint, so it's like, you'll never see the scratches anyway, so I didn't make a fuss. Although I am considering getting my car vinyl wrapped. I don't know if I'm going to do it this year or next year, but for some reason I keep looking at it, and it's like, it's a nice color. I don't mind. They call it whisper white. It's more like an ivory color. But I just have this, like, inclination to have it vinyl wrapped in turquoise, so it looks like the car from Down Periscope, Kelsey Grammer's car. And I thought, yeah, that way every time I get out of it, I could be like, I wonder if they have it in turquoise. Because that's the way he says it, which would be fun. Other than that, not much. I mean, I was shopping for a few rifles, and none of them went as planned. I thought I was going to pick up a 86 Lebel, which is something that's on my wish list for the longest time, but they're very expensive. And I thought I finally found one that was affordable because it had a pretty pitted receiver and barrel, not dangerously pitted, but enough to make it cosmetically kind of ugly. Stock was good on it, and the rifling was good on it, and the sights were good on it. So I thought, okay, I'm in this for about 500, and by the time it was all said and done, it's currently sitting at like 900 and something bucks, and I'm like, no, that's almost as much as a good one. So I had to back out of that. And then I was looking at a Vector CP1, which is this space-age plastic-looking, South African gun that's no longer made. But I really like the look of it, and I always wanted one. And before, you can get them for like $500 to $600, but now not so much. I guess people started wanting these things, so I was in it for 500.
I think it might have had something to do with a certain Gun Jesus doing a video on it.
Yeah, but that was like 2 years ago.
That's about when the price on them started skyrocketing.
That is kind of true. The Ian McCollum effect.
Yes.
So I found one, and it had the case. It had 2 magazines. I found a company that makes a +5 base plate for it, so you can actually have a 20-round CP1, which I thought, hey, that's cool, because you can't change the sights on it. So, like, you can't upgrade the gun. Like, it is what it is. And thankfully, the trigger's not terrible, and the sights aren't terrible. And then you can get this extended base plate that actually looks like an extension of the grip, so it doesn't look awkward. And I thought, yeah, I can carry that. So it was like $500 for the longest time. And then yesterday, with 2 days left, all of a sudden it skyrocketed to $900. And I'm like, nope, I'm out. So my desire to pick up something for myself for Christmas and New Year's sort of got crushed in 48 hours. And the only rifles I'm looking at right now is a Amberg Gewehr 8805, which has got the shrouded barrel, which I wouldn't mind having. And then there's a Turkish 88, which is also shrouded.
Was that the one I posted?
I'm not sure. I can't remember.
I know I posted one of them.
You posted me one for... let me see if I still have it on the list here.
I think it was a Gewehr 88.
Oh no, you posted me a 99 last ditch, which I am watching.
Yeah, I also posted a
oh yeah, the lock, stock, and barrel. Yeah, that was the Turkish one.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's that one. But the thing is yeah, I can buy that one, but it's the 88. It's not the 8805. So I'd have to get those clips, which I'm not opposed to. It's just the reproduction ones aren't very good, which we know why, but they're not very good. So I think I'm probably going to lean towards the 8805 because it still has all the looks, but it's got that tab, so you don't have to use clips. Like you can just use strippers, which is fine. And then my rare out in left field choice, 93 Mannlicher Cavalry carbine for the Swiss Army. So there's a really good video on Sea and Arsenal about Swiss rifles, straight pull rifles. They did uh, the 89 Swiss straight pull, which is what I already have. They did the 96 and 9611, and then when they went to the carbines, it wasn't a Swiss like K11 style rifle. They didn't do that yet. So in '93 they bought a Mannlicher, and then they just had it chambered in their caliber. And it's kind of neat because it's not an indigenous design, and it's pretty good looking. So like it sort of works. And I don't know, maybe that's my out in left field. And then if all of these fall through, then there's always the T91 12.5 upper that I want to get that you got. And
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, because like half my Christmas bonus is spent on my last disaster already. Like I'm still licking my wounds from that. And then the other half is where the fuck is my Python? Because I haven't been able to take delivery of that in, well, this will be the 20th month. That's pretty annoying. You know, I pre-ordered and paid my down on it, and it was like, we'll get you one, you know, in the order that we did the pre-orders, and I'm like, cool. And then all of a sudden it was like, I went there a year later, and the guy was like, oh, I got one right here. And I'm giving him the look like, then why the hell haven't you called me? So I get to hold it and play with it, and I like it, and I'm like, yeah, I do want this. And then I'm like, so why can't I take this one? And he goes, oh, well, we get 3 in a month, and 2 of the 3 go to pre-orders, and the third one we try to sell on the shelf. And I moved my hand away from the case, and it said $39.99. I shoved it back across the counter. I was like, yeah, I'll fucking wait. So that was over a year
Which
ago.
realistically, they should be honoring that deal.
They said they will, but the thing is how much longer do I gotta wait? So
Well,
once
that's
I've
the thing. They
once I
haven't.
go up there, you know, I'll have the remainder of the balance just ready to give them, and I'll just be like, where the fuck is my Python? I ordered this shit 20 months ago. Like, this is ridiculous. Because I have an order ready to go for the Anaconda with them, and I haven't finalized it yet because I don't know how long it's going to take for them to deliver it. And if I get that one, I'm going to pay it outright. So it's like, if I pay it outright, I expect it within a month. Because originally I bought the Python with the intention of doing a gun review on it before most other gun channels. Because I put the order in as soon as it was announced. And, you know, most of the people I follow on YouTube, they've already had one, did the review, had it break, sent it back 3 times for repair, Golden Web, and then finally got a working one. And then turned around and bought an Anaconda and already did the review of that. And I'm just like, why the hell haven't mine gotten delivered yet? You know? So I've been hearing from a few people that their locals have them. They're a couple $100 more than I paid in. Um, Patrick was saying that his shop already had them, and there was how do you describe it? 16.99. I can come pick one up anytime I want because they get them in regularly. I'm trying to get mine at like 12.50, and that's one of the reasons why it takes so long to get, because they listed the price, I bought in, and now they don't want to honor it because they've been selling them for $4,000 on Gunbroker. Pretty shitty, especially since, you know, my dad and I have been buying from this shop combined for almost 40 years. Pretty annoying. I guess I made Tony pass out, huh? So anyway,
Probably.
so anyway, yeah, that's sort of my my week in review. I'm not gonna do year in review because it's a sad story, so I'll save you from that. All I can tell you is I lost 4 friends this year. Uh, one, 2 to cancer, and 2 to suicide. One was on Christmas Day at the dinner table right in front of his family. I I can't explain that one. Like, first of all, whatever pushes a person to suicide is mind-boggling, and they don't think about who the victims are afterwards, and how greedy it is to do something so horrible to yourself in front of them. So I had a hard time dealing with that, but that happened on Christmas Day at the dinner table, and I'm just like, I don't know what to do with that information. So like that's the biggest part of my year in review. I guess the other part is I swung for the fences twice and struck out, so it is what it is. It cost me a lot of money too, but think of it as investment with no return. It's fine. It's fine. I did I checked over my analytics on YouTube, and what was rather interesting was thanks to all you viewers, I picked up something like 180 something subscribers this year, which, I'm a small channel and I don't really put it out there that much in terms of promotion. And I broke the cardinal rule of YouTube with what not to do. So, like, years ago, I watched a guy and he said one of the more successful ways to, or one of the more easy ways to be successful on YouTube is pick something that you're going to do on your channel and stick with that and don't do a bunch of different things. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do everything on one channel. So I did like my game reviews, my tinkering videos, my like gunsmithing, my just whatever, and the game reviews and stuff like that all in one channel. Which, if you guys have seen my other content, like I got the intro part. That was inspired from the selection screen from Mega Man 2. So it gave me 8 different topics to be able to use. And then I used like the selector that I made to pick whatever topic it's going to be. I'm like, the most seldom used, strangely enough, is gun reviews and the news alerts. Because the news alerts, you got to put those out the day that they come out. Which I will touch on at the end of the show because one thing that we're going to cover today is what story stood out the most for you in 2021. So the one I chose is something that I did do a news alert on because it was sort of important to me because it was like a local thing, local-ish state thing. But, that was a pretty good one. So anyway, yeah, it was like 180 something subscribers. And then I think the reason for that is just because of how much stuff I put out this year. I think I must have done, realistically speaking, maybe 150 or 200 videos this year or last year. But they were fun, I take some enjoyment in, like, when I do the indie game thing, recording it is not hard. I used to think, oh God, how do these guys do video game videos for like 30 minutes or an hour? Well, I realized very quickly that it doesn't take much to fill in that time. It goes very quickly. And the longest part of it is editing. Because I like to add little foibles and tidbits and, animated GIFs and just whatever. Sort of like pop-up video used to do. Because when I first started doing this, you used to be able to add annotations in real time through the editor of YouTube. And then I liked it, and they took it away. And I thought, you bastards. So then I had to figure out different ways to do it the way I wanted to do it. So, like, when I'm playing, like, a game or whatever, and something's not going my way, or I made a mistake or something, you'll hear me go, damn. And when I do that, I always put a picture of Farouk, from WWE, because he used to have that shtick where he would stand there with this really weird look on his face, and you just go, damn. So I'd stick that in there as like a 1/10 of a second little boop, and it would pop off. And that's fun to do, but it's sort of become my shtick. So like people see my game videos and they know that's coming. That or just whatever. Like I do in your face, and this dude's like thrusting his hips, going in your face. So it's like those are fun to do. The only problem is I spend like an hour recording an episode, and then it takes me 6 hours to edit it, and then it takes me 2 hours to upload it because usually the hour-long videos are almost 10 gig. So last week I did 5 episodes of The Long Dark, and one episode ended up being an hour and 30 something minutes. That was like 12 or 13 gig. But I got into the habit of doing that series where I record all 5 episodes in one shot, edit all of them in one day, and then upload all of them and set them up as premieres. And because each file was so big last week, it actually took 2 days to upload. But it worked out. Like, the first premiere landed on time and everything worked out, so I don't mind. I did find a typo in one video that I had to fix in real time, but that's no big deal. Anyway, Scott, your week in review.
Well, I squeaked in and just under the wire got my receiver from PSA,
Which one?
my Let's Go Brandon receiver. And then I also squeaked in on the very last day and got my Wolf 12.5-inch piston upper delivered.
Yeah, I secretly hate you for that.
And I was able to run around and get all the parts I needed, minus an SBA 3 or a 4. So I just took one off one of my other pistols for now. I really, really want to go shoot this tomorrow.
Right, I'm going to try to do this on the screen. I'm not sure if it's going to work. We do a thing on the server called the Celebrity Death Pool. And what I would like to do is invite anybody who wants to join the server or wants to join the game to email me at the link in the description below and just make the subject line Celebrity Death Pool 2022. So what I'll do is I'm going to start with this just to see if it'll work. I'll show you. We keep a tab on who is on the Celebrity Death Pool. And this year, I don't know if that's going to pop up, but hopefully, yeah, it does. So this was 2021's Celebrity Death Pool, and there were technically there was 5 participants. Rob and Frankie I counted as 2 people, but my server was at its fledgling stage, so we only had 5 participants. But the way it works is you take 10 names of celebrities. They could be politicians, Hollywood, writers, musicians, whatever. And you just put them on your list. And then if they pass on throughout the year, then what I do is I mark it on your list, like you see here, with the date that they died. And then the point system works like this. You take the age they died, and you subtract it from 100. And then whatever's remaining is the points you get. So, for instance, Rush Limbaugh passed on February 17th, and he died at the age of 70. So he was technically worth 30 points. Well, I had him, Scott had him, and Patrick had him. So we all got 30 points that day. The really funny thing is if you look carefully at this list, Zorro, Jaime, and Rob and Frankie, Francesca and Rob C., they managed to go the entire year without picking up a single point until yesterday. And they got 1. So, 4th place tie was Rob and Frankie and Jaime with 1 point. Like, the way that the game works is I let you pick 10 plus 1. You get a wild card. And the way that the wild card works is chances are you're not going to get all 10 on your list in 1 year. I've been playing this game now for 16 years, and nobody has ever gotten all 10 of their guys on their list. Ever. Even like other channels and radio stations that play this game, nobody's ever gotten all 10. But the wild card would allow you, if all 11 pass, to replace the lowest score on your list with the wild card if he has more points than one of the ones on your list. But if you don't hit 10, I'll still give you the credit for the wild card. So this year, if you see there, nobody's wild card passed. So nobody got the points. But I did take the win this year because I was the only person who put Olympia Dukakis on the list, and that gave me an 11-point lead over Scott. So I actually won this year with 97 points. Now, when I started this, the plan was I was going to give away 3 Lancer magazines. So for instance, if Frankie won, she has a fascination with the color purple. So I would have sent her a 3-pack of purple Lancer mags because it would be something she wanted, something she likes, and something that doesn't break the bank for me to buy. Because I don't take any money in. I don't have any ad revenue. I don't have any monetization. I don't do Patreon or Utreon. None of that. I'm all self-funded. So it was like I would just buy 3 mags and ship them to her. If Scott would have won, then I would have sent him like green mags. If Patrick would have won, I probably would have sent him laser engraved Magpul P mags that have Hillary Clinton behind bars because he would have loved that. So this year, it's going to be something similar. Like the prize I give away is going to be about $100 or less. Typically, it's magazines just because it's something that everyone can use. I don't really like to gift optics because my taste in optics might not be your taste in optics. So it's like it would be a waste of money if I bought it and you didn't like it. But magazines is something that people can always use, and I can send it to anybody, and I don't have to worry about like hazardous materials restrictions like ammo or whatever. Now, in Jaime's case, if he won, I don't know what I could send him because magazines have to be California compliant, and finding a pinned Lancer mag would be, first of all, annoying, and second of all, I don't believe in pinned magazines, so it goes against everything I stand for. But
So what
anyway,
he's saying is he gets them sent to him one piece at a time.
maybe. I don't know. I'd have figured something out to send him. Actually, in his case, what I would probably do is I probably would have sent him like a Lee 3-die set for reloading because he's getting into it now. He bought my rock chucker, so I would probably send him a die set or something that he would use in a caliber that he has, which would be useful. Uh, Same thing for Tony, I guess in his case, because he is in this year's celebrity death pool, and so if he wins this year, uh, I can send him a die set of whatever caliber he wants. Something like that. I mean, that's just, it's supposed to be fun, right? So there's that. If you want to join, just email me, make the comment or the subject Celebrity Death Pool, pick 11 names, pick the 11th name as your wild card. I'll add you to the list, and then I'll show you the database, and we'll keep it updated throughout the year, and I'll announce the winner on New Year's 2023. So originally, I had a deadline for get all your entries in by yesterday, but since I'm just announcing this today, anybody who wants to play, if you're watching, if you're listening on January 1st, go ahead and email me your list today. I will add you to the game for this year. I already got Scott's, I've already got Tony's, I've already got Frankie's, I've got my list. Oh, I can show you what my list is now, or I can at least tell you what my list is now. So, actually, no. Yeah, okay, I'll tell you, because I've already got your guys' lists. So my list this year is Shannon Doherty, Clint Eastwood, Gene Hackman, Sir Anthony Hopkins, Pete Davidson, Judd Hirsch, Robert Duvall, Robert De Niro, Val Kilmer, Harvey Keitel, and my wild card is Queen Elizabeth. Now, the one thing that you don't want is, or let me go ahead and read the rest of you guys' list too. Rob and Frankie's list were Hillary Clinton, Joe Biden, Madonna, Catherine Zeta-Jones, T.D. Jakes, Juanita Bynum, Morgan Freeman, Clint Eastwood, Dame Judi Dench, Sir Patrick Stewart, and her wild card was Samuel L. Jackson. Scott's list is Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Joe Biden, Montel Williams, Mikhail Gorbachev, Keith Richards, he wants the last Highlander to die, Louis Farrakhan, Jimmy Carter, Lindsay Lohan, Demi Lovato, Charlie Sheen, and wildcard, which I thought was brilliant, Matthew Perry. Tony's list is Ace Frehley, Peter Criss, Paul McCartney, Ringo Starr, Joe Biden, Bill Clinton, Steven Tyler, Ann Wilson, Steven Adler, Robert De Niro, and his wild card, Britney Spears. So you can see how this works. You want to pick people that are predictably dangerous to themselves if they're younger because they're worth buku points. You don't really want to... I guess to be fair this year, I did pick a lot of people that were very old, so it's worth fewer and fewer points because I'd rather have somebody else win. But then I put in Pete Davidson, and he's worth like 75 points or something. So like, if I get him, nobody's going to catch me this year. But you don't want to pick somebody that's 100, and you absolutely don't want to pick somebody that's over 100 because then you go negative on points. And yeah, I will take your points away. If you pick somebody who dies at 106, I will minus 6 points from you. Because, first of all, you're dumb enough to pick somebody over the rules. And second of all, it was such low-hanging fruit. Shame on you. Then again, I did pick Queen Elizabeth for my wild card, so it is what it is. So anyway, yeah, join the celebrity death pool. I'll add you to the list. The more, the merrier. Try to pick names that I didn't mention, or if you have to, go ahead. But pick some names that I would go, oh, I completely forgot about that option, and we'll put you in the list. And if you win, like I said, it'll be a prize, something that you'll probably use if I know you, and it's going to be around $100 or less because I'm self-funded. So if you want to throw money my way to fund it, I'll make the prizes better. But for now, it's $100 or less because it's just supposed to be, dark humor and fun. Anyway, Tony's got issues this week or something. He keeps hopping in and out.
Yeah,
Maybe Snowpocalypse already started for him.
that's possible.
So, yeah, I secretly hate you because now you own two T91 uppers, a rifle and a pistol length. See, my
And I have
conflict
the
is...
Let's Go Brandon AR mag.
Yeah. My conflict is right now, I do want the 12.5 Wolf upper, but I also already have been taking steps and accumulating parts to build my door kicker 308. My get in your face and that kind of rifle, because my first AR-10 was the reach out and touch someone. That's the 24-inch barrel, 19-pound, monster rifle. It's heavy, big and heavy, but I built it to a purpose. That's what I call what did I call it before? Basically, if you're in a static position defending something, it's one of those, like a wall gun almost. But after I built it, I really like it. It's just, it's not practically portable at all. So it's fun for target shooting and showing off a giant AR-10, but it's not practical in terms of if you had to be mobile. So I probably told this on this show before. I'm building an AR-10 that's 12.5 inches long on the barrel, with a polymer 80 lower, with an SB-PDW brace, and I want to top it off with an Elcan Spectre DR. So it's going to be a serious build, but my goal is...
Pricey build.
Pricey build, yeah, the optic's $1,400. But I just thought I'd spoil myself just this once, because if I'm going to buy this Moriarty 12.5, it's a really nice upper. Like, really nice. That's why I want it. And I already got the nickel boron bolt for it. I already got the lower parts kit. I still have to order the PDW brace. I was kind of waffling on which one I wanted, but I think I probably will go with the SB PDW because I got it on one of my other pistols and I really like it. But I may modify that. See, the SB PDW only has 2 positions, so it's all the way in, halfway out, all the way out. And I'm thinking about taking the guide rods from a PDW and machining out 2 more intermediate settings, because I want to make it to at least 4 position, 5 position, I guess you'd call it. And there's no law saying you can't grind extra grooves into the rods. So I'll say I needed that length of pull to be between these 2. That's why I did it. Like, no one's going to tell me I can't do that. There's no legality issues with it. So I'll probably do that. But the goal is, for some reason, I really like steel 20-round mags for AR-10s. Like, they proportionally look correct. And I know they're a little heavier, but my goal is to run a 20-round steel mag, maybe a 20-round PMag. I guess since the lower is polymer, I can live with that. And keep the rifle at 8 pounds loaded. Maybe less if possible, but that's the goal this time. So it's like, I want to build that first, but I still want that T91 upper that's hard to get. Conflict.
I would get the T91 upper first.
I know, but I already got
Because
half the parts for the
308 parts,
308.
Yep, the 308 parts are going to be freaking available.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
also,
you're right.
you
The
gotta
upper's
save
always
up the money
available.
for that optic.
Yeah. Yeah.
See, I'm making sense.
Well, the thing is I've sort of already got the optic.
Oh,
I've just been sort of
you
not
didn't
telling
tell me.
anybody about it. I've been keeping
Right.
that sort of a dirty little secret, but I sort of already have the Spectre DR. So I'm kind of bound to it. I mean, I could put it on the T91 if I really wanted to. That'd be cool too. It's just a 1x4, but I don't know. I saw a really good video on optics, red dots, and magnifiers versus LVPOs, and or LPVO. Oh, that's what it is, right?
LVPO.
Low power something optic.
Variable optic.
Variable optic, exactly. But the DR does that already. It's a 1x4. It's not very long. It's not very heavy, and I think they're cool. And that's got to be part of the factor of your build. It has to be functional. It has to be practical, and you have to like it. Otherwise, you're not going to use it. I mean, if you think about Japanese arms design in the beginning of the 20th century, one of the biggest factors was the gun had to be good looking to instill confidence in the soldier to want to use it and take good care of it. Whereas if you just give them something that's disgusting and ugly, they don't want to carry it. They're just like, what a piece of shit. I don't want this. So it's like, that's got to be part of the factor of why you build what you build or why you choose what you choose. So yeah, I'm pretty set on the Spectre DR. If I do the T91, I'm really thinking about getting that Israeli, I think it's called the MH1 red dot, because it's kind of boxy and stealthy looking in its shape. It's got like these weird chevron angles into the body of it or whatever. And they came out like 2 years ago, I think. And I remember they started off hot and heavy, and then everyone just stopped talking about them. But I mean, just as a practical red dot, I'll give it a shot. You know, they're a couple $100, but it was that or a UH1, which that's been around for donkey's years, so it is what it is.
They're already on Gen 2 for that.
Yeah.
So you might actually be able to pick up a used Gen 1 reasonably cheap.
So far, they're not that much cheaper than the new ones. But yeah, over time, you're probably right.
Because I know the Gen 1s didn't have night vision capability.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, neither does my EOTech. I bought the one that wasn't. I think Flippy bought the one that does.
Yeah, I don't know if my 512 does or not.
All right, so boy, that was a long tangent. Anyway, yeah, so I'm torn between the two. I think we talked about it last night a little bit in my slightly drunken stupor, but it's just I want to finish those two, and then I want to do the Python and Anaconda this year, and then the only other thing that I'm considering doing, which is going to be pretty pricey, is I have every intention of building a Russian DP-28 or a DPM because the parts kits are cheap. And I finally got an answer from the company here in Texas that does the receivers and the semi-auto bulk conversions. So technically I can build a DPM for about 18 or 1900, which sounds like a lot of money, but if you think about it, Ohio Ordnance Works BAR. I've always wanted one, and I always wanted Fostech to make an echo trigger for one. And at the time that I wanted it, they were $4,000. Now they're $6,500, whereas the DPM categorically is about the same rifle, select fire, the real thing, select fire, semi or full auto, battle rifle caliber. So I'll end up with a 47 round pancake drummed 7.62x54R battle rifle for what, a third the cost of the BAR now. And it's going to be a cooler story to tell when you take it to the range, because you'll get some old timer who sees a BAR and he'll recognize it immediately. You take out a DPM or a DP-28 and you don't have a magazine on it, it's this long skinny piece of steel, and people are like, what the hell is that? And then you whip out this giant freaking pancake mag and slap it on top of it, and they're like, what the hell is that? Yeah. And then they're going to wonder what it is, and then you get to tell a cool story, and then, somebody's going to be like, can I shoot that thing? Here, you can shoot like a magazine of whatever I brought if I can shoot like 5 rounds of yours. I'm like, okay. It's just 54R. Okay, go right ahead, I brought my 500 Magnum to the indoor range one time, much to the annoyance of somebody standing in the lane next to me. But the other person in the other lane next to me let me shoot 4 magazines of 9mm out of their pistol. I think they had a Walther Creed. And I let them fire 1 cylinder of my 500 Magnum. And they let me dump 4 mags of theirs. And I'm like, cool, okay. So there's that. Anyway, yeah, I don't have a lot to build this year, but they're all expensive. So Python, realistically, 1500. Anaconda, realistically, 1900. DPM, 1900. My Shorty AR-10, from start to finish, it looks like it's going to be about, if I count the optic, then it's $2,000. And then the T91, I technically have the lower already, but I don't want to take the rifle that I've got apart to do it. So I'll probably end up buying another lower. I really wanted the rare breed samurai, but the problem is those are very expensive. Very, like $500 to $600. So I'll probably just get a Spikes waterboard instructor, because I've always wanted one of those with the color fill. Call it a day. Build the T91 off of that. Maybe. Definitely. Okay. Let's get into the news, because we've got a lot to cover today. I did something a little different this week, and the way I did it was I took 2 similar stories and we're going to run them side by side as one topic. Originally I was going to try to split screen it, but it doesn't really play nice on the layout, so we're just going to show you both. But 2021 ended kind of violently, if you think about it. And it started off, I think it was last Tuesday. There was a mass shooting in Colorado. 4 people killed, 3 injured. And this was in Lakewood, Colorado. And I want to say that was, let's see, 4 days ago. So yeah, that would have been like Tuesday, right? Tuesday or Wednesday. So we got that happened. And then yesterday, there was another one in Los Angeles at a grocery store. And I don't think anyone was killed there. 6 people injured there, yeah. But I guess what my problem is, I made a joke about a friend of mine who, 2 of my friends actually, they ended up going to Colorado for Christmas break. One of them, him and his wife went to go skiing. Actually, no, both of the people I know who went skiing. And both of them weren't too far away from the place in Colorado where this happened. So I was like, you didn't take your guns with you, did you? And they're like, that's not funny. But anyway, I think a lot of these stories, what they have to do with is it bad policing or defunded police, or is it COVID? And I know that sounds weird, but hear me out. You take people and you cripple their economy. You force a lot of them out of work, and now they're locked down. They have been forced into basically being an introvert for months or even years now. The kids' schooling is weird. The job market is very weird. The face diapers is frustrating and annoying because the mandates change on a whim. You get a society with a really bad case of cabin fever. So tensions are high and patience is low. And you have to wonder if all those mandates and lockdowns maybe had something to do with people flying off the handle a little sooner than society expected. I guess that's a good way to put it. In either case, it's still intolerable to societal rules, but it makes you wonder, and I'm not sure what the causes are. I mean, you can't justify evil anyway, and it's not the tool's fault either. That's one thing that I keep bringing up is antis will demonize the tool, pros will demonize the person wielding it. And that's the difference, because the weapon is the actual user, not what they're holding. If you take the gun away, they'll just use a knife. If you take the knife away, they'll just use a van. If you take the van away, they'll use a hammer or a hatchet. I mean, how much control are you going to instill before you realize that it's the people that are the problem, not what they're carrying or not what they're using? Anyway, your thoughts?
It's not just that. You also have one side of the political aisle railing against unvaccinated people, riling up their base.
Sure.
So it's a multifaceted problem. That's the problem. That's the easy way of putting it.
Sure, I mean, but it all leads to the conclusion of cabin fever and bitter retaliatory anger.
Yeah.
Okay. You're just saying that there's multiple agitators involved, and you're absolutely right.
Oh, yeah.
You got it at a local level, federal, state, Congress, just you name it. My county, or actually I live next to that county. I don't live in the city of Houston proper. I keep telling people that because they're like, you live in a blue city. And I'm like, no, I don't. I actually live 28 miles west of a blue city. In between a red city and a blue city, strangely enough. But the county I live in did flip blue, and I'm ashamed of that. So yeah, we have a county judge that she won by attrition. Actually, she won by straight ticket voting. Nobody knew who she was. She paid the application fee. People straight ticket voted blue. She got in. A good man lost his job. You've heard me summarize that story before. She flips the mandates for lockdowns and masks and all this crap whenever she feels like. I think the lowest level grade we had was code yellow, which is the middle one. It's like, wait a minute, didn't we get rid of the terrorist watch system that had the different color codes because we never got out of red or orange? And people were just like, why did you even come up with blue and green? No, you're obviously never going to let us go back to that. So they got rid of her mask mandate color code for a little while, and then she brought it right back to put people into paranoia again.
Well, not only that, it also feeds into the whole cabin fever.
Yeah, because they're forcing you back into the cabin.
It makes people go crazy. That's what they want. They want the chaos.
Well, I didn't want to... I really didn't want to talk about this.
That's taken away from all their economic woes.
Yeah, I really didn't want to get into this, but I guess I have to because I am also sort of a victim of cabin fever. And allow me to explain. So, earlier I said that I swung for the fences twice and struck out. And when that typically happens, there's like a buildup, right? You meet somebody, it's new and exciting and yada yada yada, and you're all sort of hyperinflating one another because you're excited to be together, right? And then if it doesn't work out and it ends horribly, like in my case it ended horribly twice, and I wasn't even privy to that disaster until it was too late. Like they just made a snap decision. Anyway, it sort of does something to your psyche and your confidence, conscious confidence, I guess. Even though, in hindsight, I look back and I'm like, no, I did what I could. They're just not the right people for you, kind of a thing. And for some strange reason, I guess Facebook's metrics are getting really invasive because I had written a couple of posts on what had happened. I didn't really spell it out because I didn't want to call people out by name or whatever. I just sort of beat around the edges. And Facebook's metrics caught enough information that it had signed me up for Facebook dating without my consent. Like one day my phone blew up on the screen and it said, you have these matches. And I'm like, what the hell is this? So I clicked it and then it said, we chose these pictures. Would you like to add more? And I'm like, what? So I'm like, okay, I don't like that picture. I still don't know what's going on yet. I'm just like, these pictures are acceptable. So I added like 7 or 8. And then all of a sudden it was like, it asked a couple of questions. I filled in a couple of blanks. And now every day I get these lists of these people, match your thing. And I'm like, what the hell? So, when I'm sitting on the throne or whatever, I'm flipping through these pictures. And I got to tell you, man, 4th largest city in the country. And it's full of no. That's the best way to put it. It's full of, oh no, right? It's Like you can set the age limits too, and it constantly picks over that by a long way, and you're like, wait, you signed me up for this, and then I told you what I won't read and what I don't want, and you're forcing that down my gullet. What the hell? And it's like, it was just an endless sea of people that make you look at the listings and go, shit, I guess I ain't that bad off after all. Or it's ladies. If you're going to go and put yourself out there like this, first of all, don't show off your assets, because that just makes you look cheap. Second of all, don't state the obvious. Like, don't go on there making your demands list of what you aren't going to do or what you won't tolerate. It's like, we know decent people have common sense. You know, it's like you find these people who are like, this person is 28 years old, and it's like, okay, I ain't looking for any short-term hookups. Me and my 8 kids are my world. And it's like, Jesus Christ, 8 kids at 28? What are you, Octomom? And then, you know, the Slip and Slide theme song starts playing in your head. But anyway, Cabin Fever has made me look at a couple of listings that at first I thought catfish, catfish, catfish. No way, right? Because I ran into the same set of pictures on 3 different profiles once, and I'm like, this is obviously catfish. But every once in a blue moon, you find one, you go, huh. And then you flip through and you say no anyway. And that's the problem, you see. This ties into the whole cabin fever thing. Some people get angry and bitter, and they do stupid things because they're under lockdown. I'm the opposite. I've been under lockdown that I get to the point where I flip through these listings and I'm just like, I'm not good enough for this. And that's not cool, because I'm better than this. And yet I still tell myself, nah, I'm not even gonna set myself up for failure. Never mind. Cabin fever is a very sad thing. And what really sucks is this was forced upon an entire world. This wasn't forced on a nation. This was forced on the entire world. There is a world of angry or introverted people right now because of this. And I still can't understand why, if NATO or the UN are supposed to be a respected global governing policing organization, why the hell haven't we sanctioned China back to the Stone Age for releasing this shit on the world in the first place? Because I mean, look at what it's done to society in the last 3 years now. Right? We can't call it COVID-19 anymore because it's still 2022, spelled TWENTY dash TWENTY dash TOO 2022. Because the fact of the matter is no mandates have been lifted. We're still under this martial law kind of bullshit. And there's no end in sight, is there? More people have died since Biden took office than before Biden took office. Now, realistically speaking, to be fair, he inherited a nation with this already running amok. I'm not going to blame him for it, but the numbers suggest that, hey, this still happened on your watch, despite the fact that you said you were going to solve this. And now you turn around and you say, federal government can't fix this. Like, he reneged on everything. So then why lock everybody down? You know, we talked about this, 2 years ago? And I said, well, look, if you really wanted to get rid of this problem, you lock down the entire country, you cut everyone a check for 15 grand, and you say, sit tight for 2 weeks, don't go anywhere. You have 48 hours to go buy everything you need to lock down for 2 weeks. Here's 15 grand. Okay? Do the math. $15,000 times 220 million eligible Americans is still not even 1/2 of the very first stimulus bill.
No, the problem with that is you would have created a freaking panic.
No. We have created panics through lockdowns and regulation.
Absolutely, but people by themselves are smart. Large groups of people, on the other hand, are panicky.
Yes, I know the Men in Black quote.
And violent.
I do know the Men in Black quote. My point is
Exactly.
if they said that we can stop it by not being out in public, we could have made utilities autonomous for 2 weeks. And we could have just said, buy groceries and, Nintendo games and board games or prophylactics because you and the missus are going to have nothing else to do for 2 weeks and just stay home with your family, Netflix it, video game it, whatever. Try not to go out for 2 weeks. That they could have done that if they cut a big enough check, but they didn't. They squandered all the taxpayer money on bullshit interest group programs that didn't solve a fucking thing. When they could have just
Well,
gave the money to the people.
There were countries that locked down
Yeah.
and just said, stay in. And guess what? They still have COVID.
Yeah, that's true.
So locked down for 2 weeks probably wouldn't have done shit.
Well, yeah, but you know what? I would have felt better about how we spent the taxpayer dollar if we tried it that way first. You see what I'm
It would
saying?
have been less money for the taxpayers.
It'd be a lot less money for the taxpayer. It would have been a lot less money wasted on programs that were just to politicians' interest groups and backers, because that's what it is. I mean, I found a reasonable justification for the infrastructure bill for New York, because that Mariotakis chick actually sat down and read all 5,500 pages of it. And I actually did believe her when she did it, because she quoted pieces of the bill that I had already written or read. And she said, $300 billion is going to my state to fix the port authority, to fix the subway system, to fix this. And I thought, you know what? That's good. I'm okay with that. Unfortunately, she's too blind or stupid to realize that that money is going to be sent to contractors for surveying as an initial payment, and to say, okay, we did this study for the last 18 months with the money you gave us, and we ran out of money, wink, we're going to need another $2 billion to do this, and this. They give them a list of what they want to fix. Now take that on a nationwide basis. We had squandered so much taxpayer money on programs where they just had surveyors check things out where they actually didn't, and just pocketed the money because those are the same people whose companies backed certain candidates. It was just a hush money payout, and no work got done. I mean, half my city, Houston, construction projects are everywhere to fix the roads, right? None of them have been completed. All of them had been started, and all it's done is created giant traffic jams all over the city for people who still have to go to work, who are still under lockdown, who already have cabin fever, and now they're stuck in rush hour traffic because 9 lanes out of 10 are closed for the last 3 years. We're being led by idiots.
We've been led by idiots since the 80s.
Yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next story. All right. So, story number 2 is, the way I wrote this is 2021 can go fuck itself. Because John Madden died last Tuesday at the age of 85, which supposedly was completely unexpected. Nobody saw that coming. Now, I have seen clips and pictures and videos of John Madden over the last couple of years, and that was a man physically in decline. Very quickly in decline. Like, he just didn't age well in his golden years. He wasn't the guy that you used to watch on Fox Sports Sunday that used to do the 3-legged turkey at Thanksgiving. No, he lost a lot of weight. He was gaunt. He was very pale. He looked like he had no energy. Something was wrong with him for years, and they really didn't talk about it. So that was the first piece to fall. And not to be outdone, but the second to last remaining Highlander in the world had to pass on New Year's Eve. And for those of you who've been living under a rock, Betty White has died. The last Golden Girl has finally died at age 99, which is really strangely and coincidentally shocking to me, because just several days ago, she did an interview where she talked about how cautious and careful she was about her health, about her well-being. She was a huge animal. I don't call her animal rights. she was more of an animal rescue specialist. Like, she rescued California condors and all sorts of crazy things, wild animals. Um, she did an interview where she talked about the reason that she kept acting well past her 70s was because her first passion was acting, and her first passion funded her second passion, which was rescuing animals. The woman had a heart of gold. And she talked about her health and how she always, tried to be careful with her health and who she hung around, what she ate, how much sleep she got, all these things about, she's about to be 100 years old, she's going to live forever. There were memes and jokes about how one day it was just going to be her versus Keith Richards, and the winner would claim all and be the last Highlander. Well, apparently Keith Richards is the only one left now. So he might be the one. We did sort of add a joke on top of that maybe he's not the one. Maybe Chuck Norris is like a dark horse in hiding. But then again, Chuck Norris didn't need a sword, does he? Did it with bare hands, so maybe he's not a Highlander. Maybe he's the anti-Highlander. Whatever. Betty White, dead at 99, lovely woman, hilarious, deeply going to be missed in Hollywood. Ryan Reynolds did a very touching tribute to her last night. And you can say what you want about the guy, but I think as a human being, the guy's fantastic. He really is. He's got this strange witticism and dark humor and sarcasm. It's like the perfect combination of human being, really. Anyway, that was to tell 21 to go fuck itself. This morning I wake up, and the first celebrity death, which is not on anyone's list, so don't put it on your list if you're emailing it to me because it's too late. That's the other reason why I wanted the entries yesterday, because I thought this could possibly happen. Coach Dan Reeves died this morning. Didn't see that coming at all. 77 years old. He's a running back. He's a coach. I think he coached the Broncos and the Eagles, right? Something like that.
I'm not sure.
The guy's been around a long time. Like, he was a household name in the NFL for years. Like, I don't even follow the NFL that much, and even I knew who he was. So when I read this morning, I'm just like, Jesus, let's just start the year off with this bullshit. So anyway, there he is. I think he was, 77? Yeah. And they just say due to complications from a long illness. So that's usually something cardiovascular, like a heart condition, maybe hypertension, blood pressure, cholesterol. Could be liver condition. I guess we'll know later. Eventually that will come out, and then we'll know. So yeah, 2021, go fuck yourself. 2022, what the fuck? Like, start with Dan Reeves, what the fuck? So there's that. Moving right along. I think about 2 weeks ago, we covered a story about the Virginia Robert E. Lee Memorial. It was well over 40 feet tall. It had Robert E. Lee riding his mount. It was put on top of a structure, plinth of some sort. And it was surrounded by K-rails that were graffitied with defund the police, BLM, name your platitude. It was spray painted somewhere on or around that monument. Plus cancel culture came, and that was probably one of the biggest pieces to fall in terms of historical monuments. However, I would argue that the cancel culture movement is bullshit, because if they were really against slavery and the Civil War and the historical monuments of such things, then why haven't they demanded that the Lincoln Memorial be torn down? Because all you have to do is read the memoirs of Robert E. Lee and how he actually felt about slavery. About how he actually emancipated all his slaves, which he treated very well when he did have them, and then had his wife educate them and teach them how to read and write. This guy wasn't pro-slavery. He was pro-states' rights, which is what's actually what the Civil War was fought on. States' rights versus federal overbearance. Problem is the biggest states' rights being argued was slavery, so that's what everyone latches onto. But if you take that, as opposed to Abraham Lincoln, who chose Robert E. Lee to lead the Union Army before anybody else and was declined by Robert E. Lee. Then he was forced to take Ulysses S. Grant. Read the Horace Greeley letters from Lincoln. Then you'll want to see why the cancel culture movement hasn't demanded that the Lincoln Memorial be torn down. Because the Greeley letters tell you everything you need to know about what Lincoln's mindset was on slavery. It'll shock you. Anyway, we covered the story about the memorial being removed. And as they started tearing down the plinth that it sat on, they found a time capsule. It wasn't very big, but it was a lead plastered box. They took a week to open it. What they had expected to find was a photograph of Abraham Lincoln on his, I think it was on his deathbed. I think that's where it was.
In his coffin.
Or in his coffin, that's right. And it was only known to be one of, I think, 4 pictures to exist. So they were really excited to find that box, because they also found historical records saying that I think over 60 people contributed to the time capsule of different things for the nation, or for the time capsule of the nation at the time being, which was I think 1888. Here's the thing though. They only found like 3 books in there. One of them was just a book. It wasn't like historically significant. It was just a book of the period. And I think there was an almanac and there was something else. But that wasn't what they were expecting because of the public record. So a lot of people were disappointed. But they continued to tear down the plinth, and they found a second time capsule, which was actually quite a bit larger than the first one. Now, that in and of itself is strange. A memorial with 2 time capsules placed at the same time. Was one hiding the other one, sort of like how they would have tried to deter grave robbers in the Egyptian pyramids? Maybe? I don't know. Anyway, this box weighed 36 pounds. Much bigger. And what they found inside here was definitely more along the lines of what they were expecting. They found newspapers from the time. They found, I think they found coins. There was an envelope full of Confederate-issued money. There was Masonic symbols and a Confederate flag inside. They found buttons. They found Minier balls, which was the ammunition of the time. No live ammunition, because obviously it was, they were muzzle loaders. But the moisture got in there too, so a lot of it was stuck together. They had to very carefully remove it. If you look at the picture I've got on the screen, you can see the sort of things that were graffitied all around the K-rails and fences before they tore down the statue. So this is obviously way before. This was from September. But this had the stuff that they thought they were going to find. What they didn't find was a photograph of Abraham Lincoln in the casket. So that's still not there. The pedestal is still being taken apart, though I doubt they're going to find a 3rd time capsule inside it. I mean, it's a big thing. We actually have a similar landmark here in Houston of Sam Houston on a horse, and it's on a very similar looking pedestal. So I'm sort of curious maybe what's inside the one we've got in town. I don't think they've torn down our Sam Houston one. Maybe? I don't know. I can't remember. Anyway, your thoughts? Time capsules are cool, but I mean, were you surprised by what they found inside, or?
Yes and no. I was hoping for that picture of Lincoln in his casket, because there's only like one other one known to exist.
Supposedly there's 4, but only one is known.
Photograph.
Yeah. But I didn't expect it to be there, honestly, because Lincoln's assassination was what, 1864, 65-ish, something like that?
Yeah.
This monument was built in 1887. So it was like 20 to 21 years after. If there was a photo, it probably would have made it in there if it happened the year he was killed, or maybe the year after he was killed. But by then, it was so far out of public memory that, I mean, think about it. They had like 3 presidents after him since then.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was Lee's time capsule. Moving right along. I wish Tony was here for this because I thought we'd really get to talk about this at length. So this story came from The Truth About Guns, which I found out Dan Zimmerman's actually in Austin, Texas. I didn't know that. He
Oh, that
added
does
me to
explain a
his
lot.
LinkedIn thing this morning. I thought, oh, that's cool. So this was titled, Federal Gun Control Laws Are More Politically Possible the Longer the Crime Spike is Allowed to Continue. They're arguing that the more crime that's being committed these days, that's rising in big cities, the more political sway and pull politicians will have to enact more gun control. I think that's bullshit. I think it's the opposite, actually, because we're at this weird position. Take everything we talked about earlier about cabin fever and everything, and couple that with we have 22 constitutional carry states in this country now. Ohio is about to become the 22nd, which is almost half the nation. Geographically, it's more than physically half the nation, but it's half the nation almost. Enacted constitutional carry in the last 5 or 6 years. Because, I mean, remember, even way back when some of us first joined gun channels, like 7 or 8 years ago, the number of constitutional carry states was in the low to mid-teens. And then all of a sudden, when Trump's presidency began, a lot of states were able to push constitutional carry through because being a conservative at the time was very popular in fashion. My state governor, Abbott, he sort of got this ball rolling in a brilliant way. When he first got into office, he said he had a 3-step plan. One was to lower the cost of the CHL, concealed handgun license, at the time. And a year later, he was going to prove that by lowering the fees, more people paid to get their CHL, and he could show a correlation between the rise of CHL holders and the downward trend of crime. And he was able to do that in 12 months. And that justified his second tier, which was licensed open carry. So then the CHL became LTC, licensed to carry. And again, he showed that there was a rise in applicants and a downward trend in crime. Now, the third leg took a lot longer. It took like 18 to 20 months. However, it still passed. Constitutional carry. He said, we don't need your money, and you don't need to pay for your rights that are in the Constitution, or in the Bill of Rights. So, he said, I've proven to you twice now that more law-abiding citizens carrying guns does not equal more crime. It lowers it, because it lowers the victim rate. Now, there are outliers, obviously. There are irresponsible people who fly off the handle and do stupid things. That cannot be denied. That's always going to be a factor. It's unavoidable. But the trend is still downward. Now, in my city, and in Dallas, and in Los Angeles, and Chicago, and Philadelphia, New York City, unfortunately, the crime has increased because cabin fever, right? So you got that, and you've got less policing. And I think that the crime spike should be responded by frustrated citizenry saying, when seconds count, the cops are minutes away. That's the first thing they should say. The second thing they should say is why does he get to carry a gun because he has a badge and show up minutes late when I should be able to carry a gun by my constitutional right and defend myself at the moment of my attack. And you should get more people actually wanting to be able to constitutionally carry. So I don't think politically it's a smart move to try to justify increased um, gun control because that's going to work against them. If the crime is actually going up, you don't want to disarm the public who need to defend themselves. You need to encourage the public to defend themselves. You need the police chiefs out there that say, we're not going to make it in time. You should be able to fend for yourself until we get there. At least that's what I think. I could be wrong. And if I am, so be it. But I don't think the idea that crime going up is going to make more gun control. The knee-jerk reactors, obviously, yeah, they will. They'll keep pushing for it because that's just what they do. But at the end of the day, it's not solving the problem. Because the gun's not the problem. It's the people that are the problem. It's always been people that are the problem, not the tool. We talked about that earlier, too. Your thoughts?
Nah, not really.
I mean, do you think it's bullshit that they're going to try to drive more gun control? Because, I mean, I don't see it coming.
I think they're going to try, but I don't think they're going to be able to go anywhere with it.
I think they're going to get shot down because they're going to say, no, you have a security detail. I don't.
And no, you're the ones that are backing defunding the police.
Not anymore.
You were the ones, they were the ones creating the fucking problems.
Yeah. But I mean, before they weren't.
I've seen video of, I think it was in New York City, where instead of cops, now they have like mental health counselors go out.
Yeah.
And try and intervene in shit.
I remember hearing about
and like
that.
literally, it was a video or pictures I saw of two of them getting chased by some guy with a knife.
Yep.
Running for their lives, unarmed. It's like, yeah, no, I bet you they quit right after that.
So you've got, in San Francisco, you have Mayor London Breed. She has flash mob crime streak robberies happening in retail places. So now they're shutting down retail stores. She tries to lay the blame on the business owners for not having enough security on site. But then, truth be told, if somebody flash mobbed your shop and your security detail opens up and fills them all in and kills them at the door, then she'll just go against the security detail for gun crime, right? So it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's still got fecal matter all over the place. She still has stymieing mask mandates, even though she can go out and party and dance because she, quote, feels the spirit without a mask, right? She justifies her bullshit, but not everyone else's. And she's got a crime problem on her hands. And do you honestly think gun control is going to solve her problems? No.
The Poop Patrol sure as hell hasn't.
No. I mean, getting her out of office might solve San Francisco's problems. Getting that weird...
Not even them.
Oh, what's that? It's Pat-looking governor out of Oregon would solve their problems. Getting... Well, Bill de Blasio's on his way out, so that's an improvement, but they just got another Democrat in, so take that for what you will. Even though New Yorkers are fighting for their gun rights.
Considering running for governor.
Bill de Blasio?
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to win. There's just no way. I mean, he's better than Cuomo was. And...
No, I don't know about that. He's a freaking hardcore communist.
Yeah. Well, he's still better than Cuomo
So is his wife. And if you read the stories about his daughter, oh boy.
Where the hell have you been?
That must be a fun family.
Jesus.
Don't even go there.
Missing out on all the stories. Anyway, let's move on. Or actually, no, Tony, go ahead if you have an opinion on this. So the story I just covered was Federal gun controls laws are more politically possible the longer the crime spike is allowed to continue. So, what we were talking about earlier is the correlation between rising crime shouldn't make it more justifiable to disarm the public because the public is going to demand more access to firearms to protect themselves, their business, and their own personal interests. I think it's the exact opposite, even though the gun control movement typically does push towards gun control in response to crime, or at least to violence. They've tried it their way for a century and it doesn't work, so the only solution now is to try it our way.
The actual response to the stuff with the pandemic has shown a lot about what people will do when they start getting scared.
Yeah.
By there being record numbers of new gun owners. So,
Well, is that really pandemic or is that White House? Because I mean, if you think about it, gun sales went through the roof when Obama got elected too.
yeah, but it wasn't really pointed out being anything about new gun. They're specifically mentioned in fact a lot of first-time buyers.
Yeah. See, and that's got me concerned because there should be no ammo shortage. There should be no component shortage. Like, this is all caused by lockdowns and mandates and BS, and yet we still can't buy primers on the regular. We still have a hard time
Right.
buying powder on the regular, and that's inexcusable.
It's hard for me to fathom how it's lasted this damn long.
Yeah.
Federal saying that they're, putting on more shifts and opening the factory and this and that and the other thing. Make it to where even yesterday I still couldn't get 45 cold brass or magnum brass or 47.
I have a source for you if you need that.
I don't need it. I just like to look now.
Well, here's my problem. This is a two-part problem. You have manufacturers saying, look, we can build another factory and we can open up more lines of production for certain calibers. We can do that, but it's going to take us 2 years to get it going, and we don't anticipate the market glut to hold out that long. So on the one side, they say, we would invest all this time and capital and resources to build more ammo, and then by the time we get it up and running, the ammo shortage will be over, and then we have to just shut them all down again. That's the first thing they turn around and say.
The last election proved that theory, though.
Right. Well, the thing is that's the one side that they say. But then they turn around and they have the audacity to say, by the way, don't expect ammo prices to ever come back down to what they were pre-shortage. Because what they have done is they have limited production without increasing it, but the demand has increased, so then they were able to spike the prices until they could see what the market could bear. And they were like, oh, well, I guess people are willing to pay up to 50 cents a round for 9mm, which is asinine. But now that the shortage is over, they have no incentive to bring the prices back down because they say, well, why would we? We know you can pay this, so why would we lower the prices? Continue to pay it. This is the new norm.
But just look back. 2014 was horrendously for shortage for rimfire.
Yes.
It was horrendous. When rimfire started to become available again, prices just fucking plummeted. Back down to under 3 cents a round by 2017, maybe.
Sure,
18.
but that's one caliber.
But it's the same concept as overall.
I don't think
If you
so.
stop buying shit, the prices will go down.
See, that's the thing. I'm not convinced of that anymore. I used to be, and I would agree with you. But business people always try to squeeze out more money and profits. That's why they're in business. You don't go for business out of the goodness of your heart. You go to make money. And during this crisis, the shortage, they're able to say, Well, we had to raise prices because we wanted to slow down the number of demand purchases for people who are hoarding it. First of all, that's a fucked up justification. Let them hoard it. Let them buy as much as they want. Keep making more, and eventually everyone will have all that they want, and then the demand drops off simply because they have no need for more. But they didn't. They stuck your head underwater and they gave you a coffee stirrer to breathe through. And they said, you will take this and you will like it. And then they checked down on you every once in a while to make sure you haven't died. And they said, see, this coffee stirrer is all you needed to survive. And in this case, it's like, no, you can afford to pay 50 cents a round for 9mm, so we're just going to keep the prices there. Because now instead of making $10 billion profit every quarter, we're making $250 billion profit, and you're going to thank us for it because we're still giving you ammo. That they're nefarious as fuck.
Thing is that there was workarounds for all this shit that people should have been jumping on board with
Sure,
years ago.
hand loading. But the problem
Where'd
is
those primers
buy-
go?
see, that's the thing. The problem is they have stymied hand loading by limiting the supplies for hand loading.
I got all the supplies I needed when they were available.
Yeah, but that's a
That's my damn
finite
point.
amount. I mean, okay, my feet right now are resting on an ottoman that has 50,000 rounds of 9mm in it because I did the same thing you did. I stockpiled components, and then to pass the time during lockdowns, I just made a couple hundred rounds of 9mm every day. And now I'm sitting on 50,000 rounds of it under my feet. Don't ask
I'll
me to
tell ya.
move it. I need a truck to pull that out of my bedroom. But
I'll tell you
And
right
yet
now.
you're not shooting it.
yeah, I'm not shooting it. That's what sucks.
Tell you right now. I'm sitting on 1 pound shy of the amount of gunpowder state law says I have to keep in a magazine.
Well, the point is, if you want to know what gun control really looks like really, really looks like, you got to give credit to Democrats. You really do. They realized that they couldn't limit you purchasing a gun. You're still going to find a way to get one. They didn't even stop you at the bullet level. No. They took away the most basic, smallest, easiest to stockpile component that makes it all work. Primers. Like, there were jokes about how the federal government was buying up all the 22LR and all the 5.56 during the 2014 shortage. And that somewhere behind George Washington's nose in North Dakota or whatever, behind the monument, if you've ever watched National Treasure Book of Secrets, there's a stockpile of billions of rounds of 5.56 and 22LR that they've been buying up and hiding because they didn't want the market to have it, right? That's not realistic. But who's to say that they don't have one aircraft hangar full of 250 trillion primers because they're small and they don't weigh much? That's more feasible. That's the thing that everyone's having a hard time getting in their hands. That's how
Well-
you limit gun control, because a gun is useless if you don't have a bullet that you can shoot out of it. Go buy the retail ammo for 50 cents a round instead of making your own 9mm for 5 cents a round.
I kind of foresaw a lot of this, and I did stock up quite a bit. Because every fucking election cycle we see something like, not near as severe as it is, but I'm well set. You know, fuck yes, y'all.
Well,
And I've certainly mentioned it a number of times.
well, because you're in the same boat I'm in. You've got enough ammo to do what you probably need to do if something were to happen. You've got enough components to keep it fed for a while. That's all fine and dandy. But
Probably feed my grandkids for the rest of their lives, to be honest.
possibly, but one day that finite amount is either going to go bad because your house got flooded or whatever. And
Shush.
well, I'm putting out the what ifs, right? Or you're just going to run out because maybe you finally do have a chance to go shoot your guns, especially when you get to your new place and you get to build your own
No.
shooting range.
On a little bit of a side note here, that new place has caused me some concerns because of my supplies. got to be sure the climate control is good enough
Right.
to keep them good.
Right. So
I
there's,
lose sleep at night over that shit.
well, okay, so if I'm not mistaken, you're going to do like a container type storage thing, and that's probably where all your reloading stuff's going to go. So,
My
like,
stuff's going in the house with me.
all of it?
Yes.
There's not going to be not much room for anything else.
It's just judicious stacking.
Well, my point is you can
The
sort of overcome those with your HVAC and your dehumidifier or just stockpiling a bunch of desiccant bags now.
the expendable stuff
Hmm.
powder. Bullets I don't care about. Brass and make it tarnish, but you clean that.
Sure.
But I literally lose sleep at night trying to work out a way to ensure that I get all my stuff there and I don't lose any of it due to condition.
My biggest concern is what if my stockpiles run out? Because then I'll be in the same boat as everyone else. I can't get primers, I can't get powder, I can't build this. I can't make right now my problem is I can't make the ammo for my Siamese Mauser, even though I have brass coming. And I can't do my 8 Lebel, and I can't do my Turkish Mauser because they all take a 323 bullet. And it's like those are guns that are currently knocked out of commission because
The only
I
thing
can't get ammo.
the only thing I can't make is 22 LR. And
Yeah.
I have somewhere 20 to 30,000 rounds on hand, and I will buy more if it gets back down to the 4-cent round range.
On a funny side note, I get those Milk-Bone dog biscuit plastic jars. They're like 2 pounds. You know, they're about the size of like a sugar pot that you would have in your kitchen.
Yeah.
And I used to spend every Sunday before I went to World of Beer, and I would pick up a 100-round box of Tula steel case 5.56 because it was like $19 at the time. So I used to do that, come home, dump it into one of those containers. And at one time, I had 7 or 8 of those full of steel case 5.56. But then I started buying magazines. So I bought like a D60 from Magpul. Or recently, I bought those zombie green translucent Lancer mags. And when they came in, I would take one of those jars. I would thumb the rounds into them, put the mag back in the bag, and stick it in my storage with all the other magazines. Well, the other day when I got the Lancers, I took out what I perceived was the last jar of 5.56 steel case I had, and I emptied it. So now I don't have any more. Now I've got a whole room full of magazines that are full of 5.56, but I feel like I don't have any now because I don't have any Lucy's. Shortage.
I
Aren't you gonna make some more 5.56?
I haven't made any yet. I don't even know the die set for 223 yet.
You want one?
Really? I was shocked
Yeah.
you don't.
I
Well,
got one.
I don't shoot it enough to need to do it yet. Like I shoot all my other, like my revolvers, my 9mm, my KP9, my bolt action guns, my lever action guns. Those are the ones I shoot the most.
The ones that you don't get for $100 a thousand
Exactly.
on good times.
Exactly. The rarer ones, because I have to hand load for most all of them anyway. But yeah, I haven't loaded 5.56 yet. Will I do it? Yes. Have I done it yet? No. Because brass is kind of hard to come by.
If you run completely out of ammo
Mm-hmm.
for your 5.56, let me know and I will loan you my 223 die.
I can make some more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to do anything with them, so.
Yeah. Well, you got that.
got-
You got that one.
I got one, but I got 250 rounds loaded for it, so.
You're good to go. Yeah.
Yeah, it's single
That's
shot.
pretty
so
much a combat load.
Well, yeah, but his is a single shot, so like he would just carry a pouch
Oh.
full of them and just like thumb one in at a time.
I'm wondering, yeah.
Yeah.
it'd be the last thing on this place I'd grab in desperation for a gun. I can tell you that.
What's the first one you would take, and why would it be the first one you took?
The first one I took would be that 44 Magnum Lover rifle,
Mm-hmm.
and it's because it's small and light enough that it's not a burden to carry,
Mm-hmm.
and it's got enough power to do pretty much anything I want. You know, it's 44 Magnum, so it's good enough to shoot people with,
Oh yeah,
and it's a lever action rifle of
dead nut simple
mid-range
mechanically.
power.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, I've already had all part of the work on it. But you could kill, it's fine for killing deer and shit. So it'd be hard pressed because I'd almost take a 22 first.
See, for me, I'm sort of working the problem backwards. So, given the opportunity to come back to my stuff, and I would have to venture out, strangely enough, and I know this is going to sound almost fake macho, but just hear me out here. The first gun I would grab is actually my 12.5-inch 50 Beowulf. And I know that seems weird, but the reason is because it'll do everything at first. And it's one of the rifles that I have the fewest amount of rounds for. So I would want to use it and expend all my ammo for it, and then leave it behind if I had to bug out, until I would get to my more common calibers that once I had to be mobile, I would have them at my disposal. You see what I'm saying? Like I would use up my awkward ones first, just so I could use up the ammo, and then take my more common stuff and take it when I have to move. So I would go with the
Yeah,
Beowulf first.
I figure with this 223 that I got, it was perfect. Yeah, just never touched it
Yeah.
because it's dead simple.
Yeah, it's literally idiot proof. Like a Remington rolling block, you know? It's so mechanically simple that anyone can use it.
Now, if we're talking taking off and I can have two guns,
Hmm.
then it would be the 22 rifle, 43 gun.
If I had to take off and I had to leave everything behind, um, oof, I would probably take my 7.5-inch Dookie pistol in 5.56. It's the most complete rifle I've got, or pistol I've got, because it's got everything on it. It's got a red dot, it's got backup sights, it's got a flashlight. Uh, I can smack a D60 into it if I want to. Um, it's very portable. If I had to, I mean, I've got 10 or 11 ARs, but that would probably be the one I pick up first because it's one of the better ones I built. Now, I'm
Well,
sitting next to an 11.5-inch uh, Midwest Industries upper equipped pistol, and that's a really good one too. But I built it very minimalist. SBA 4 brace. It's got a primary arms 2.5-inch ACSS red dot, and no light, no backup sights, uh, just clip-on rail scales. As a skirmish pistol rifle thing, it's fine, but it doesn't do everything. No flashlight, no red, no backup sights, stuff like that. So I would probably give this one to like my dad or something.
one of the things on the 44 Magnum, especially the bigger ones like the Smith Wesson,
Hmm.
they're easy to shoot really, really well.
Yeah, because they don't kick the crap out of you when you fire them.
Once you get past the shock of the jump,
Yeah,
which they do,
yeah.
the guns are really accurate. They're easy to be accurate. You understand how sights are supposed to work these guns. Uh,
Well, okay, so you knew that I had a pre-Freedom Group 70s era uh, 336 Marlin in 3030. It's
yeah,
quintessential lever action. Doesn't kick the crap out of you. Can take out most North American game. Practical to use. I have been I have a desire to replace it since I sold it. And I'd like to get a Henry Yellow Boy 3030. However, when it comes to I need to bug out and I need something mechanically dead nut simple, who's to say that a Henry in 308 wouldn't be a good choice? Or maybe 5.56. Now,
Well,
tip
I'll
to
give
primer
you.
would be an issue, but what I'm saying is
Yeah,
mechanically simple with a modern caliber, so that way you can borrow ammo from your group if you needed it. Whereas if you took a 30-30 out,
or find along the way.
yeah, where 30-30 is practical of around as it is, you're not going to find it everywhere, which means your gun will go down eventually.
If there's deer hunting
Which,
in the area, you'll find it.
Right.
which is why, if I had to grab one of my guns to go, I would probably grab my SA-93 AK.
See, I think I'm going to stick with my Dookie pistol, my 7.5, just because it's 5.56.
Mainly because it's a milled AK, and that particular one is the first one they ever imported to the U.S.,
Yeah.
that model. And that is the closest you can probably get to a factory military spec Arsenal AK.
Well,
Now,
yeah,
let me
plus
ask
common
you a
caliber.
question.
Hmm?
Let me ask a question. What do you
Plus
think
the
is
second most common caliber you'll find.
What do you think is the most likely caliber to find? Period.
9 mil.
5.56 or 7.62
.22 LR.
or rifle.
Period.
Ooh, you know, you might be right, but
I know I'm right.
in terms of practical usability, though, I think realistically 9 mil. Like I could see
But
myself bugging out with my KP9, honestly.
to be honest, bugging out, you're not going to be doing urban warfare.
No, and
You're
that's
going to be
the
looking
whole
for
point.
something to eat.
Right, that's the whole point. It's just the thing is if you get caught up in a situation where you have to expend a lot of ammo to either protect yourself or to get to what you're getting to, or to stop someone that's trying to take it from you, it'd be nice to be able to walk down the street and find 9 mil in a burned out building. Whereas
Well,
I'm not going to find 50 Beowulf in a burned out building. I'm not going to
No,
find
I
50
get
Beowulf
that.
on most store shelves.
That's why I went with 7.62.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice. And I
Good
think
to 3
Tony's
to
choice is
400
good
yards.
too.
3 to 400 yards. It's good at barrier penetration.
Yep.
It's very common. There's a lot of people that have AKs in the U.S. Second most popular rifle caliber.
Yeah, but the
Next 5.56.
first week after shit hits the fan, everybody with their AKs can burn up all their damn ammo.
It's still gonna be out
I'm
there
gonna be
though.
creeping around out in the dark. That's the thing. I happen to know where there's a few billion rounds of 5.45 sitting.
So okay, yeah, I do too
Port of
actually.
LA.
Yeah.
A couple shipping containers full of them.
Oh man, see, would I carry
And
my?
that is a really great round, but it's not very common.
See, then I'm also torn on pistol. So like, realistically, I would carry my Walther Q5 steel frame match pro because it's my nicest 9, right?
Multiple.
But weight and usability, my 43X is no slouch. It's smaller, it's lighter, and it carries almost as many rounds as my Walther does. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It carries the exact same number my Walther does, 15 plus 1. So it's
Yeah,
like,
if I had to go with like one pistol
yeah,
in a shit hit the fan situation, I'm grabbing my 19X.
I'm thinking
I hate to say it, being a CZ guy, and I
Yeah.
love my CZs. Don't get me wrong.
weight. That's the problem.
No, not only weight.
Portability.
The Glock magazine is ubiquitous. You'll find them freaking everywhere.
Yeah. No, I'm with you on that.
You can pick them up off, abandoned law enforcement vehicles.
Sure.
You know what I'm saying? You'll
No, I'm
find
with you on
Glock
that.
mags everywhere.
I'm with you on that. See, I'm torn
And then
between
9X
that or one of my revolvers. See, the thing is,
Ooh.
I don't have it yet, so I can't say I would carry it. But if I could, I probably would carry the Python. Not because I want to be Rick Grimes and I bought the swivel holster for $600, which I did. I'm an idiot. But because you can get 38 special all day long. You will find that. You will find 357 pretty often.
Yep.
However, since I don't have that gun, and since I do have a 44 Magnum and I would love to carry it, it's my competitor, it's a good gun, I don't think I would find 44 Magnum everywhere, so I probably wouldn't carry it. I would probably take my Night Guard because that's the 3.5, or that's a 2-inch barreled 357 8-shot. So I would still have that practicality of 38 and 357. I would probably take that for mechanical reliability over the fact that my 43X, the recoil spring could break, or I could fall and a vehicle runs over my plastic frame and I'm done. It's like I have to think about that too.
One thing on this whole deal that I have to point out is that I'm not bugging.
Not at first. Nobody probably will bug out at first.
I'm not healthy enough to do it.
Yeah, but
die where I'm at.
survival necessity would make you move. You wouldn't give up just
Now,
because
what
your
I-
supplies ran out, would you?
What I do need is a battle belt with a drop leg holster for the 19 inch.
No, hell no. I'd shoot the neighbors and eat them if it come to it.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying like it gets to a point where you're gonna have to move just because you're not gonna allow yourself to sit there and die. So you're right. You might not bug out day 1. You might not bug out until day 366. That's fine, but you will still move. You will still move if a radiation cloud from Chicago drifts its way down to you. You would be forced to move.
Now, I'm talking about if I'm at the cabin.
Okay.
Now, If
Yeah,
I'm here, I'm going to the cabin, so I would be bugging out.
right. And at the end of the day, you would be Herschel's farm Walking Dead. You're out kind of remote, so you could hide out in that scene for quite a while because your typical raider, essentially, they're going to hit the big cities on day 1. They're going to clear out the store shelves, the bank vaults, the hospitals, all those places, the CVS's, the Walgreens. You're so
Dude.
far off the grid that it would take them months before they have to go out that far to get whatever you got.
I'm not that far out. I'm like 8 miles off of water.
Well,
But
okay.
5 of those miles is up shitty gravel road.
It
Right.
might be a while before somebody realizes you're there.
Yeah, a lot of people are going to look up at that shitty gravel road and go, that juice just ain't worth the squeeze, man. There's probably only one house up there.
That was one of the reasons we chose it. Place was how the layout was, real close to a hospital. Yet far enough off the mainstream that he wasn't going to see people.
You see, one of my favorite games in the last couple of years was Far Cry 5 because it took place in fictional Hope County, Montana. And I looked at I looked at that scenario as what if the world went to shit, right? It was small rural towns and farms, communities, and they all had their own bunkers. And they were in practical places where you could still hunt and fish and still be away from big cities. So raider groups would be few and far between, and most of the people within your vicinity were your neighbors in your small towns anyway. So chances are you won't take a shot at them because you're all in the same situation together, and you may be just bartering with one another for supplies or whatever. And I thought, what a brilliant stage that they set in that game, because you start off in a bunker, you end up in a bunker in that game, and it was a really cool story because you see like shortwave radios down there, canned goods, jarred foods, people pickling, things like that. It was really clever, like the way they did it. The whole story was based around a religious zealot having control of a nuclear weapon, I think it was. So I mean, they did that for dramatic effect, but I mean that whole scenario and setting, that fits the bug out profile perfectly. Underground radio and all that good stuff. Loved it.
I had always loved the idea of Montana because the population density is as low as you're going to find. But those winters, man.
See, I'm not so bad on that. I like the idea of 4 seasons. I miss it. We used to have it here, and it's long gone, but we have a Korean here. 2 of them now.
What?
So anyway, we had tangented it quite a bit. Let me get into the next story because we still have We technically still have 2 or 3 to go. Okay, so this one, I called it Hogg-wash. And I don't know if you know this, but David Hogg goes to Harvard. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but for a time, he wasn't going to school. He was skipping school to be some activist douchebag. And yet, he got a PR bond, basically, to Harvard, right? And the way I captioned this was, David Hogg is at Harvard, and apparently they don't teach anything truthful, useful, or meaningful there, because he is quoted as saying, "None of our rights are absolute."
Well, I mean, what did you expect? It's
Well,
Harvard.
I'd still
What you're saying
maintain that,
is, I live close enough that I could go down there and beat the piss out of him.
yeah. So it
Well,
says,
Harvard,
imagine a
like,
Me and
Harvard
Jared will
man.
double team him.
Well, it says, imagine a Harvard man who can't seem to write 3 sentences without contradicting himself. If you're thinking of inveterate attention whore David Hogg, you win a cookie. The awardee of an undergraduate place at Harvard has taken to Twitter to opine that the Second Amendment is not an absolute right. None of our rights are, he continues. And then he declares that we have a right not to be shot. Clearly, the First Amendment doesn't restrict an Ivy League seat warmer from dishing out an inane dorm room wisdom about topics he clearly doesn't understand. We hate to break it to you, but enumerated rights limit what the government can do, not what the citizens can do.
I was about to point out, clearly you've never heard of Kent State.
Right. No one has a right not to be shot. Unlike keeping and bearing arms, not being shot doesn't make an appearance in the Bill of Rights, or anywhere else in the Constitution for that matter. You have no exemption from being perforated, not by criminals, not by the government, not even by yourself if you're careless enough. Americans with IQs above room temperature increasingly understand that nothing stops bad people with evil in their hearts like a good guy with a gun. That's why, even in states with extremely restrictive gun control laws, firearm sales remain at near record high rates. In places with a dearth of good guys legally carrying guns, where the police have been defunded and concealed carry permits are rationed, crime flourishes. Places like New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco, even Cambridge. Yet Hogg spouts ignorant hot takes as he occupies his parents' basement on Christmas break, desperately seeking relevance via his Twitter account. He's blissfully unaware that by his logic, if the right to keep and bear arms isn't absolute, neither is his imagined right not to be shot. That's the whole point, though, right? You don't have the right not to be shot. You have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. You have the right to maintain your life, and a firearm helps you maintain your life. It also helps you maintain your liberty, because apparently in Harvard, they don't teach you the Bill of Rights, because those were expressly written rights to contain the very government who keeps trying to take those rights away from you. Those aren't what you can't do for the people. Those are what you can't do as the government against the people that put you there.
A paper
Thoughts?
in the slabbed in the pane of glass isn't gonna stop any government.
Well, you know, at some point, the past few generations have been losing the idea of who is actually responsible for your own well-being.
Like,
Yes.
like the Bill of Rights has the Second Amendment and stuff, but I don't
Well,
really think that actually matters. What matters is like what people think.
I think what Tony is saying is geopolitically and fundamentally, we have a society these days that go to the grocery store but don't realize where the meat came from. And in terms of rights, they don't understand what the difference between a right is and a privilege. And they're muddying up the waters between the definitions of both in the name of being moral police.
Well, and they also tend to want to hand out all responsibility for everything in their life to somebody else.
Yeah, yeah. We have discussed this before, you and I and Scott, everybody. Um, the reason we have government is because an individual's life has so many things going on that we have doled out certain responsibilities into the trust of others and made that their sole focus so the rest of society can focus on their everyday lives. Because if you had to get up every day and go and hunt your breakfast, defend your property from invaders every day, police your own neighborhood, um, broadcast your own radio and TV, and watch someone else's, every one of these little elements of life, you would never get anything done because you would just have to spend 23 hours of your day just getting through the basics of life and then have an hour left over to spend time with your wife and kids and whatever, right? I mean,
Well,
it's not
I mean,
far-fetched because think about what people who live on border towns are going through right now.
it
They're
doesn't
fighting
even
off
matter.
invaders. They're having to police their own neighborhoods. They have to arm themselves, right? But the thing is we had put the trust into the government to handle the border. They're not doing it. To police the neighborhoods. They're not allowed to do it, right? All these things we put into the trust of government so we don't have to do them ourselves. And the problem is we keep giving up more and more and more personal liberties in the name of ain't got time for that, you handle it for us. That they've taken away everything else underneath you while you willingly put those people in power. I've stunned the room.
Nah.
Well, I'm just trying to think of how to respond without saying a bunch of cuss words about politicians.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I mean, like 50% of the politicians, I mean, like 50% of the population was like, oh, like we shouldn't deport illegal immigrants because like where they come from, it's like fucking dog shit.
Well, yeah, but the
I mean,
problem is they just bring the dog shit here then. So all they've done is
yeah.
spread the dog shit, right?
Well, like the problem is like a big portion of the population thinks that's okay.
Because,
Because
oh, we've got plenty of space, we got plenty of resources. You can come here. You can come here if you do it the right way. My mom did it the right way. I mean, there was a saying, bring us you're tired, you're poor, you're hungry, you're downtrodden. Come be one of us. Come be one of us.
like I
Don't
personally think
don't come here and rewrite the nation. We didn't we didn't do that. We said you like what we have, come be part of it. Don't force feed your shit on us. You can bring
I
your
per
ingredient to the goulash, but it's
yeah.
not your goulash. It's ours collectively.
I personally think a nation's government is a accurate representation of its population.
Uh, what you're saying is similar to what I say of you get the government you deserve, because
Yep, you get the
certain
government you
interest
deserve.
groups will empower certain people to maintain the status quo. And I would sort of agree with you on that, but there's a big part of that that's bullshit because it's so corruptible now. It's so easily swayed and corrupted now that the government that currently represents the country I live in is not representative of the people that live within it because there's so much dissonance between what's being represented and what's actually being demanded by the people who put those people there. I mean, think about all the idiots. They're idiots. If you did it, you're an idiot. Think of all the idiots who elected Biden under his promises of I'm going to solve coronavirus. Think about that. And then think of those idiots, the same idiots, who put Biden in office because mean tweets. Or, no, I have half a family in Honduras that I want to get here now, regardless of the process. Think of those idiots. I mean, imagine if we had set a stipulation saying, you know what, open borders, fuck it, come on in, right? No more process, come on in. You're not allowed to vote for 10 years. Nobody would come here. I mean, some would, But if we do open borders, all you people who come here, you're not allowed to vote or choose this nation's leadership for 10 years. Are you cool with that?
You gotta be fucking kidding.
No.
Well, like,
You can't even
10
get people to show a damn ID to prove that they're damn who they say
I
they are.
know, but you see what I'm saying? People in power in government want open borders because they think that they can coerce them to vote for them. But if you take away their ability to choose those people for 10 years, then that politician has no incentive to let you in anymore. Because that's the only reason they want to let you in, is to farm your votes. There's a reason why democratic cities were so willing to take on refugee programs. I mean, think about Minnesota. Think about Ilhan Omar. Think about, who's the other one I'm thinking of? Rashida Tlaib, right? The cities that they came from and represented were hot spots for refugee programs. They were not blue cities until then. That's why they want them here. It's not because they want the people. They're not humanitarians. They're fucking vultures. They're coercing vultures for votes. Coddlers. Liars. False prophets, even, if you want to call them that.
Politicians.
Politicians. And what's funny
Oh,
is, I heard this thing on the radio the other day, and they said, well, if you don't like the way things are, maybe you should run for office and change it. And I thought, where have I heard that before? Oh, that's right. I've been saying I should probably do it for the last 15 years myself. If you can't do it, fuck it, I'll do it myself. Here's the problem. There's a little saying called smelling the cherry blossoms in Washington. Because right down Pennsylvania Avenue, there are cherry trees everywhere. And you get a bright-eyed, bushy-tailed Mr. Smith goes to Washington, and he wants to go and flip the table over. The problem is the deck is stacked against him. The first thing he's going to do is smell the cherry blossoms and go, what a wonderful place. The second thing he's going to do is be met by his senior congressman who said, welcome to Congress. Fall in line or you will have the shortest stint in congressional history. So now they're forced to follow the status quo because they're already promised not to get reelected because their own congressional people within their own party have already reined them in under the threat of, we can get you out of here at any moment.
Well, primary your ass.
So there is no flipping the table. Not unless you can get an entire nation, 50 states worth of table flippers to want to go run for office. And maybe it'll happen. Maybe this is the year. Maybe I'll put in my application fee and run for state Congress or something.
Well, now look, once you get there and smell them cherry blossoms, you know the third thing you're going to do is raise your limit on the gun auction site.
Yeah, because I'll have extra money. But you know what I won't? You know what I won't do? I won't pull an AOC, get elected, show up to Washington and say I don't have the money to live here, because that's what she did. If you remember, she didn't have the money to rent a place while she was there when she first got there, and all of a sudden now she's loaded. For doing what? Batting her eyes and making noise like a harpy? I mean, honestly, what has she accomplished since she's been in office aside from making people laugh and piss them off?
Twitter.
She's done nothing. Anyway, we need to move on because we're already 2 hours and 10 minutes in. I thought we wouldn't have enough stuff to flesh out the show, and yet here we are. For those of you in the panel who don't have a story yet, start thinking about it, and I will expand on mine as long as possible in the meantime. What is the one story that stood out to you for the year 2021 the most? And try to refrain from the obvious, which is swelling gas prices or the shit show known as the Afghan pullout. Because yes, those were huge stories this year, for sure. So the one I picked was more local to my state. And the one that stuck out for me the most, which I did do a breaking news thing for twice, was the fact that Texas became the 21st constitutional carry state in the nation. This was part 3 of Greg Abbott's push for gun rights. So, despite the fact that we jokingly call him Greg Grabbit, and the fact that he doesn't raise his voice unless he has a slam dunk, um, I will give him credit where it's due for this. He had a plan, it took a long time, he got it through the finish line. So, this is the story for me that stood out the most for 2021 because it affected me directly. I had let my CHL lapse years ago because I was trying to convince a friend to go get his, and I thought, misery loves company, I'll go retake the course with you so you're not alone. He thought it was a cool idea, but then he flaked anyway. So it is what it is. But now I don't have to, because the only advantage of having a CHL or an LTC now is your background check's a lot faster. You just fill out the form, show them your card, they write the number down, and off you go. They don't even call it in because you already have the license. Yes, that's a bit of a convenience, but it's not a necessity. And in all honesty, I don't travel enough where constitutional carry reciprocity is even an issue. So I'm not worried about it. Do they even have that in Oklahoma yet?
They do. Oklahoma was a constitutional state starting from November. It was November 2020 or 2021.
Okay, so they were before Texas. So, like, even
Yeah,
if I wanted to go to Wanamaker, I can drive across there and carry my gun anyway.
Oklahoma's is you're able to carry in their state equivalent to what you can in your own.
Okay, so yeah, that'd be fine. Like, I don't travel that much anyway, so it doesn't matter. But that was the big one for me. Do you guys have any story that really sticks out for last year that, well, sticks out?
Story?
Yours should be interesting because you're sort of an international perspective, so.
Well, I mean, I guess we had COVID and like vaccine passes.
Mhm.
Fucking.
You're saying all the different variants are the ones that stuck out to you?
Oh no, I'm not.
This is what happens when you're not here for the pre-show brief.
Yeah. Well, then again, I mean, it's the middle of the night for him, so we'll give you a pass.
Yeah, I know.
So, I mean, Scott, anything really stick out for you?
Real estate
Our
prices.
government still sucks.
Yeah, but that's every day. I mean, that's not one story. That's everyday story.
Yeah, I guess I've been talking about like the asset bubble in like real estate here a lot, like with friends. Man, like Seoul is now like the 4th most expensive city in the world, I think. Like, so like in comparison, like Seoul proper has about 10 million residents. That's like.
It's turned into New York City.
So 3 times Oklahoma does.
Yeah, it's turned into New York City in terms of population density.
But like Seoul is like a big city, and the average price for a square foot of land, well, not land or condo, in Seoul is more expensive than Manhattan proper.
I believe it. I believe it. My mom watches those damn variety shows all day, and you're right. It is expensive.
So now, like the problem is, like, you live in Seoul, or like you don't have a job because like everything's so concentrated here.
I've got a friend who is a real estate agent in Austin, Texas.
Yeah.
And so the capital of my state, which is sort of a blue city, strangely enough, in a red state, even though it's a capital. They have got an Amazon base there now. They've always had AMD, and now they have Tesla. The place is growing at an astronomical rate. He just sold a property that 10 years ago was on the market for only $125,000. It was like a 950 square foot house, tiny house, right? 125,000, I think it was what it sold for over 10 years ago. He sold it just before Christmas for $850,000. That's how ridiculous real estate in Austin, Texas has become. If you owned a
Right.
house there, even in the shittiest neighborhood, you could become a millionaire overnight.
And people thought 2008 was bad.
Yeah. I mean,
And people
it's
don't even think it's a
insane.
bubble.
And
If you're looking for your homesteading property, you best get the fuck on board.
yeah. Well, actually, Texas just passed a law that went into effect today about uh, so you have property tax homesteading, and now they even have property tax exemptions for wounded veterans. So it doesn't it extends past just the age limit now. See, before it was you can homestead if you're over the age of 60 or 65. And then your property taxes would never increase, but if it ever decreased, you gain the benefit of the decrease and it can never rubber band back to your original tax. Like you can get the drops, but you never get the raises, which I thought was cool. And they've extended it now to wounded veterans. So it's age plus that for that exemption. And there's
property
going to come a
tax on-
time where you have to wonder, how is the state going to make money beyond all these tax breaks? Because Tesla has a 10-year tax break, property tax break. What was the other one? Amazon, 10-year tax break. I think they got 8 years left, right? So they're not getting any property tax revenue from either one of those two giant corporations. Then they took
Yeah, but
the concealed carry permit cost and dropped it from $140 down to $40. So they cut that out of revenue. And now they
That's
did
like
this homesteading thing.
That's nothing. compared
So
to,
it's like,
But-
the
how are they making
mainstream
money?
internet following.
you figure that every person
Property
that
taxes?
brought in,
Probably mostly, I assume.
That's what the homesteading thing helps you exempt from, though. If you're wounded, if
Mm.
you're a veteran wounded, or if you're over 65, yeah, you still pay property taxes, but you never get hit with the increases.
Well, I mean, like the vast majority of people living there, like in cities or in suburbs.
It's still not enough money, though, is it?
everybody
I have
that's
no
in
idea.
that state
Hmm.
that buys something's paying sales tax. The more
Yeah, but
people
how
they
much of
bring
it's
you-
federal? Like, how much of
I
the
don't
state
there's
sales tax
hardly
gets
any
skimmed off for
federal.
federal?
I don't think any of it.
Okay,
Sales tax? Sales tax is not federal.
okay.
No, it's state.
Maybe that's it then.
Yeah, so Texas.
Most of Texas is 8.25% sales tax. However, in my city, just outside the middle ring road, because Houston has 3 ring roads: Loop 610, which is the tightest one around downtown; Beltway 8, which is sort of like 15 miles out in every direction from 610, so it's a bigger ring; and then now there's the Grand Parkway, which is 99, which is like the outer suburbs. It's even past my neighborhood. That's a big ring. In the middle ring, anywhere inside it is 8.25. Anything outside of that ring, including where I am, is 7.25. So it's like, is that enough? That they can generate enough state sales tax to run where they can cut all this other stuff out? I don't know.
I'd imagine so. I mean, especially when it's like bringing new business in, and there's going to be massive amounts of hiring involved,
Sure.
directly and indirectly. Every one of those people, most of their money's going to be spent on stuff that's taxed.
Yeah. And then they're paying property taxes on their personal property, whereas the corporation doesn't. It's only one contribution. I guess that makes sense.
That's actually the one down thing to Missouri is their state sales tax is higher than Illinois.
Yeah. Well, it
Man,
could be worse.
Valley added tax here is fucking 10%. 10%.
Yeah, it's almost British-like, isn't it? I've got a friend who lives in London, Ontario, and they pay a federal sales tax and a provincial sales tax. So she showed me a receipt. She went to a store to buy jeans, and the jeans were like 69 Canadian dollars, which I think in our terms is like 49 or $54 or something. It's not too far off. But then there was tax and P-tax. So there's 2 taxes on the bill. and she ended up paying like $94 Canadian after the taxes. I was like, Jesus. She found it cheaper to fly from Ontario to Houston to buy jeans that filled a suitcase that she took back to Ontario. She said it was cheaper to do that than to buy that suitcase full of jeans in her own city. Plus, it gave her an excuse to visit.
Absolutely.
That's
My
just
brother's
crazy.
ex-wife. Well, I should preface this with my oldest brother lives in Canada, and at the time he was living in Nova Scotia.
Hmm.
Him and his wife would come down once or twice a year, and that's when his wife did all her clothes shopping for the year.
Hmm.
She would come down here,
Oh,
hit up the outlet mall, buy everything, pull the tags off everything, buy an
like
extra
I
carry-on,
literally
and bring it all back.
I know someone honestly, I know people who did something
Because
similar.
it was way cheaper to do that than to buy it up there.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Because
like
they have
people in the
that tax.
people in the
I
border would just like come like drive down to the U.S. and go to like an American Costco, like
Mhm.
drive back, like it'll cost like a lot less.
I'm certainly not opposed to stocking up on gasoline and cigarettes when I cross the river into Missouri.
Yeah, but the problem is ethanol sort of ruined hoarding gasoline, didn't it?
You can
I
buy
Yeah, you gotta
like
have
well,
stable.
you can buy ethanol free gas.
It's
if
not
you
as common as you
seal
think out here.
if you seal gas up, ethanol is fine for several.
It breaks down over like 24 months, though.
I
Ethanol?
still got some
Ethanol.
that's been like 18 months and it's still just fine.
Like,
I don't know.
It starts
I don't.
going bad, honestly, after 2 weeks.
I
some
don't
of
think
it, yeah, depending on the
I don't think it.
concentrate. If you have
I
like
don't think it breaks
E15,
down. Like
no, it does.
like
It
the
actually
Jack
does.
Daniels, like the Jack Daniels on the shelf, like still tastes fine after like
That's
fucking 20
that's a
years.
different kind of
Not the
alcohol.
same kind of alcohol.
It is the same alcohol.
It's a different
Literally,
type of
it
alcohol
is.
because it's not blended with other things to combust. But I know what you're saying. It's just the difference is if you have E25, uh, and you had a car tank full of it, and you let your car sit for 2 years, and then you tried to start it, it would have a very
Oh,
hard time starting. You would shoot a little bit of ether down the intake, and it would catch and fire. Once it was running, it would run. It might smell a little funny in the tailpipe, and your MPGs would be crazy. Your timing map would be completely off because your knock sensor's going crazy because it's lost its combustibility. Like you see it all the time in like half-ass customs or vice grip garage stuff like that. They end up with videos that they can get the car running, but they have to start it off with ether, and then once it's idling, it'll run on that bad gas very poorly, but it'll run on that bad gas. But
But
if you had pure gasoline that's ethanol free, which Night Strike says in his town he's got places that sell it. In my area, no. The lowest I can get is 10% E10. Like no place in my area sells ethanol free.
the thing
But
is you're talking
diesel, different story.
gasoline in an unsealed container.
Well, even then, it will
If
go
you have
bad.
a sealed container, it will last 4 times as long.
And you can always drop a can of Stay-Bill, I guess. But I mean, at the end of the day, diesel's still the
Stable
best way to
doesn't
go.
really increase it near as much
Well,
as people think. I think it's for 2 years.
kerosene, honestly, is the best way to go.
Diesel. I mean, diesel is practically kerosene. But I mean, the thing is you can
like
buy
diesel's
that and sit on it forever. Like, I started an auto car semi that had been sitting in a field for like 40 years. And we cracked open the tank and the diesel looked fine. We had to skim off like the top 2 gallons because it was water. But once we got the water out, the diesel that was left behind, basically what we did was we took a transfer pump, we sucked out all the water on the top, and then it sloshed it up a bit. So we waited a couple weeks, came back, skimmed more. And by the time we got to where it was just diesel, the damn thing ran. And that diesel had been sitting in that tank for like almost 40 years. That stuff
Now,
doesn't go bad.
now, what you're saying there is the key reason why it's different. Ethanol to have it sealed and not sealed. That's water.
Well, water got
Water
into
getting
this one
into
because the tank had a
ethanol.
hole in it.
Water getting in ethanol, the alcohol tries to absorb it, and that's what ruins ethanol.
Yeah, but
You'll also the
every gas
ethanol will
tank in this
separate
country
from
or in vehicles
gasoline.
are vented.
But
It's not a one-way
the
valve.
cans I store shit in aren't better.
Hmm. Well, okay, so I guess gas and constitutional carry and real estate. That's our 2021 highlight stories of
Well,
the
I
year.
mean,
Oh,
not just
mine.
real estate, but assets in general.
Oh wait, you
I mean,
got one?
like 80% of the dollars like in circulation
Hmm.
have been like printed in like last year. I mean,
Yeah.
like,
Well, we tried to
like,
make that $1 trillion coin too, so.
Hell, we can
you
print
know,
off more dollars. That ain't the problem.
like 80% of the dollars like in the bank accounts and like and money like that's been printed in the last year.
Night Strike says that
80%.
sounds like a justification why to get a diesel
got-
vehicle. He'd be right. However, you have to be careful these days with which diesel you buy. So, for
Yeah, you
instance,
don't want nothing that takes depth.
well, no, that's fine
Yes.
too. That's not a big deal. As long as the ECU can have that feature turned off, it's not a problem. What I was getting at is if you buy a Chevy Power Stroke and it says B20 on the badge, you're in really good shape because B20 is the designation for biodiesel. That's why it has that little green leaf on the logo. So, like, you could go to your local Taco Cabana or your local Captain D's and say, hey, if I leave out these jerry cans and come pick them up once a week, can I have your waste vegetable oil? And most of those places will say, shit, yeah, come get it, because they have to pay someone to take it away usually. But if you're willing to just come and take it from them, they'll let you do it. Because once upon a time, I drove a 1979 Mercedes 300D that smelled like fried fish every time I drove it. Because I just went and picked up Captain D's. I think I put five 10-gallon jerry cans out. I would pick it up like once a week. And then I would just take that
Yeah.
oil, run it through a filter, just a filter. I didn't do the additive thing like all these other people do. I just ran it through a filter, and by the time it drained out the other side, I just took that and poured it in the tank, and off I went. I didn't add shit. You know,
what-
they
what
said
I've
you have
seen-
to
Yeah,
add
the
all
problem
these
with
things
doing
to
that
it.
nowadays is
Nothing.
Well,
they
I guess
realize that waste oil has value.
Well, that's the
uh,
thing. Nobody, like, you can still find places that are willing to give it to you because they don't want to pay someone to pump it out and take it away.
No,
When do
usually
I
that
get to
person
do my
will pay
headline?
them,
Go ahead.
is what I'm saying.
Now, Tony finally had a headline. I want to hear it.
Well, I've had it for a while. I just waiting for the right time.
Go on.
Everybody knows that I bought property in Missouri.
Yeah.
What a lot of people don't know, and this is a small local story, so nobody else has heard it. People I've talked to. The day I signed the paper, there was an earthquake with the epicenter 1 mile from my friggin' property that I bought.
I remember that.
Mm-hmm.
I even made the joke the day after when we were jumped into the chat. I was like, you signed your paperwork and you got hit with like a category 4.
Yep.
I was like, what the hell? It's like the world knew you were coming and it just shuddered in fear.
like a category 4 is like it's not a lot. I mean,
No, but
people in Japan have it like every 30 minutes probably.
one thing that I didn't know is every category on the Richter scale is 10 times greater than the one below it.
Oh,
That's
yeah, it is.
significant.
It's
Between a 4 and a
log-
5, that's
log-
10 times more shake.
Yep, that's 10 times.
That's quite a bit.
I mean, it's like the same for decibels too. I mean, like a 10 decibel is like someone dropping a candy wrapper on the floor,
Hmm.
and like 100 decibel is like someone is like a fucking
Talking to you in a very assertive voice.
no, like a giraffe screaming right into your ear. That
The thing is that my property is located about 50 miles from Madden Falls,
Hmm.
and I'm in hill country. Just on the east side of where I'm at, it turns into Mississippi River bottom.
Hmm.
They say that if they get another 1800 style earthquake like they had, that it'll liquefy all of the bottom.
Yeah, then your hill country becomes basin. Instantly. You lose like 60 feet of sea level.
That's all right. Try to make that hill
So
easy.
start swimming.
Kind of.
Nah, I'm far enough out that that's not a problem.
Uh, Night Strike asks about the earthquakes. Do California get them all the time? Yes and no. So like, on the average,
California
yeah,
is
they
big.
get anywhere between 1 to 3 Richter scale earthquakes all the time. Um, Kodiak Island, Alaska, actually gets them all the time too, except they're usually so low that most people don't even recognize it or they don't really pay attention to it because it's like a 1.1 that only lasts like 5 seconds or something. The the ring of fire constantly moves all around it. So like generally if you hear of a major earthquake in like Indonesia, then usually within a week you're going to hear it in the northern part of Australia or the southern part of Alaska or like the northwest corner of South America. The opposite end of that plate will usually have a reaction within a week. But yeah, it's all they get them all the time. Matter of fact, someone is saying that we're getting them in Texas and Oklahoma these days, and I'm like, is it faults or is it fracking? And I don't recall ever feeling it. But
Like both. But yeah, like earthquakes. I mean, it really depends. Like in Japan, like even if there's like a 6.0 earthquake, probably like nothing's gonna just
well,
just
they're built around to withstand a certain level of shake now over time.
yeah, like in Japan, like a 7.0 earthquake. Oh yeah, like um, one grandma got hurt because her TV fell over on her
But then
or something.
again, it's not only
But
just strength, it's duration. So like
it,
imagine a category like 7 for 5 seconds and you're like, okay, it didn't do much. It didn't have time to do much. Whereas if
well,
you had
no,
like a
like
6 that ran for 5 minutes straight, that's going to do some damage.
I mean, usually like stronger earthquakes do last longer. So
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about,
Yeah,
but
because a
like
lot of
don't you,
movement is happening, so
yeah,
it's much more
so
violent.
like you don't just get like a 2 second category like 9 earthquake,
Sure,
like that doesn't happen. So yeah, like I know what you're talking about, but
duration plays a big factor, but you're right. The more powerful, usually the longer it runs too. That is correct. I think one movie that was really cool
mhm.
was
Yep.
San Andreas because
Oh yeah,
there
I
was a
saw that too.
scene where there was a
I
helicopter flying.
the one with Dwayne Johnson, right?
Yeah. The
Okay,
coolest
yeah,
part to
yeah.
me was the scene where he's in a helicopter and he's watching the world crumble underneath him. But there's nothing, he doesn't feel any of it because he's in a helicopter above it. And I thought, yeah, that's got to be weird. Like, that's got to be
Oh,
really weird.
oh shit! What was I gonna talk about? Oh yeah, so like a 7.0 earthquake in Japan, like literally nothing happens. Like if someone gets hurt from like falling glass, but
Mm.
like 7.0 earthquake in like right below Port-au-Prince, Haiti, boom!
Well,
Like
that
that's like
is unless
a
you
hundred
build a
thousand.
nuclear power plant on your coast.
Like, well, I mean, like if uh, Fukushima is like pretty complicated. Like so, if you look at the East Japan i- if you look at 2011, like not a lot of people actually died from the earthquake
Mm.
itself. Like a vast majority of the deaths and casualties came from the tsunami afterwards because uh, it, it,
They took
the
the
earthquake
shake, they
happened.
couldn't take the wave.
Yep, they took
Yeah.
the shave and I didn't take the wave, and also yeah, like they had a lot of computers in the nuclear power plants like on sea level and underground. So when the waves came over,
They all
everything
drowned.
flooded.
Yeah.
And so no, like it's not that the nuclear plant itself got damaged. Like the they weren't able to control it. So like yeah, like your laptop is fine, but like if you pour water
Oh,
on
it
it, it
was
won't
damaged,
work.
but it was the fact that all their backup generators got wiped out by the wave,
Hmm.
Yep, that's right.
All
and they
right.
couldn't get
So
power, so it melted down.
So like power plants are like pretty damn tough. You can drop like J dams on them, and like they'll literally be fine. I mean, like those that's like circular power plant things. I mean, that's like 5 feet of solid concrete and
We should have
rebar. I
Gizzard
mean,
Gary in for that one.
you, you can drop a J dam on it, and like nothing will happen
We should
except
definitely have Gizzard
yeah.
Gary in for that because he's like the Homer J. Simpson of Kansas. So he could tell us about that actually.
Well,
Um,
he's allowed to tell us, anyways.
all right, so our final bit for today, because I got shit to do. um, Guns that you are looking forward to that are to be released in 2022. Now, I'm going to preface this with the failure of excitement for the gun industry in 2021 because 2021 SHOT Show was telepresence, if I'm not mistaken. And the only gun that came out last year that had remotely excited me was the Kel-Tec P50. But I had let sleeping dogs lie the entire year waiting for one, and by the time Yankee got his hands on one, in less than 5 minutes he convinced me out of it, talked me out of it, because I thought the top break, you know, load it like an M60 with a P90 mag was awesome. 50 rounds, 9-inch, barreled pistol.
Mm-hmm.
Got 2 contact QD mounts so you can put a 2-point brace on it, which I thought would be fantastic. And 50 rounds, right? I thought this is great. But it was still put together with screws. The plastic still felt cheap. And then when Yankee pulled back on that charging handle and these 2 pathetic little aluminum pool noodles on either side of the charging handle bent in his hand. And he goes, "How many times can you do this before they break?" I thought, wow, what a piece of shit. He was like, "Why couldn't
As
you do it
somebody
like an AR style?" But,
As somebody who's handled one of those,
mm,
you're absolutely fucking right. Those charging handles are super fucking bendy and breaky.
yeah, and that scares me because everything else about the gun I like. That I can't excuse or forgive. You need that to work. Like, Kel-Tec, get rid of that stupid charging handle and put, like, I don't know, a side charging handle on it, like an MP5 or something. So you don't have to have these stupid pool noodles. Like, maybe
Have
slap
you
the
guys
side of it or something.
have you guys shot like the it's also made by Celtic. It has like a quad stack 22 LR mag. What's it
Mm,
called again?
You talking about the PMR
I
30?
know
No,
one
it's
that's 122 mag.
no, it's not the PML 30. It's like a new gun. Like it has like a quad stack 22 LR mag.
Mm-mm.
Let me find it.
All right, well, while you're looking for that, I'll show you
I
the
got
one.
bored of commenting. on
The Celtic CP33.
Let me look
Yeah.
that up.
That's the bigger one that has the long barrel.
Yep.
It's like their version of a PCC.
Oh, okay, and it's got like the MP7 style flip out
Mhm.
brace. Okay. This looks like it has the same chintzy kind of charging handle. Or am I wrong?
I don't know. Like I don't know if this thing is gimmicky, but like a few reviews I've seen, like they say it's pretty
Yeah,
decent.
this is the one that Iraq Veteran did the
reliable.
video on, saying it was the poor man's MP7, if I'm not mistaken.
I mean, it's still 22 LR, not.
Do they make this in 22 Magnum also?
No, I don't
I think they do.
Nah,
I
see,
think they do.
I'd rather
One
have
of
it in
them I know they
5.7
get
then.
whether
Their
it's the
website only
CP33 or
lists
that one.
their website only lists 22 LR.
I would have to have that
Whether
in
it's
5.7. Or that
You can make
4.6
one.
round.
You can make one. There's aftermarket accessories apparently to make it look very close
Hmm.
to an MP7.
Well, yeah, but we also got that one guy who takes the Ruger PC9 and he makes it look like a PPSH, which I would
Yeah.
so freaking do if I could just justify having to buy one. Anyway,
If I could justify paying what they want for the fucking stock now
yeah.
because of that.
All right, so the gun I'm looking forward to for SHOT Show this year, based off of the disappointment of last year, it's called the Pac 9, and this is what it looks like. And I kind of dig that because it's 29 inches from front to back. It is only an inch, 1.15 inches wide. So imagine a Glock 43X PCC, essentially, in terms of physical size. And the stock at the back has a magazine holder built into it, sort of like the Fab Defense ones, and it takes clock mags. So you get one of these that is 9 mil. You stick a 33 rounder in it, and then you keep like a 15 rounder or a 17 rounder in the stock. That's not bad. I mean, considering what we have to choose from this year so far, that seems like the coolest thing to go after this year. Or next year. This year. It is this year.
The Chiappa Pac 9.
No, I think it's some other company. Trailblazer, I think it's called.
Well,
Yeah, Trailblazer Pac 9.
Trailblazer.
That's what that one looks like. Scott's choice. I'll let you talk about it, and I'll just pop the picture up when you start talking about it.
Well, they announced it technically last year,
Okay. I was thinking like Prinkov.
but PSA is finally starting to tease their 5.56
Mm-hmm.
which, going by PSA's pattern, when they start teasing it, it's usually going to be coming out in the next
10 years later.
month or 2 months.
Oh,
No,
really?
no.
No,
Like, I don't know,
there's times where something happens and it never comes.
Yeah,
That's
well,
also true.
this gun was one of
Well,
them.
that's what happens when you fire the people in charge of your MP5 project.
This
It
is
is
one
like-
of them, though. This gun
I remember,
originally
like-
debuted at SHOT Show in 2020.
I
And
remember
then nothing
their,
ever
like,
happened
blog
with it.
phone
Yeah.
taking, like, oh, like, look, we have this cool gun, and like 3 years later.
No, the
So-
I didn't
dagger
realize-
came out pretty quickly after its announcement.
Well, after the year that they couldn't get parts for it.
Yeah,
After they took pre-orders on the website.
after
Yeah.
they collected money. Hill and Mac, we're looking at you, bastards. I wonder if
Can we
Squib
still
ever
get
got his
Squippy his
magazines.
mag?
I'll be honest, I got a PSA dagger, and I don't like Glocks, but I love the PSA dagger.
Which means you would love clocks.
no,
Yeah.
because it's got a different grip than Fox.
Ah, Jesus.
What you're saying is he would like a Palmer 80.
That's
Oh,
what I'm.
Of course, Smith
That-
and Wesson SD.
That's
That's
the
it.
thing.
That's
Okay.
it, right there.
This year, now, I don't know if one of y'all picked it. I didn't put a picture up for this one, but this year, Polymer 80 has a kit coming out called the AFT 9mm Build It Yourself Polymer 80 kit. It's everything and a carry case, and they call it the AFT kit with the typo.
That's great.
Now,
Great.
I'm going to buy one, obviously, but it wasn't like the gun I'm looking forward to. Because, I mean, in all honesty, Polymer 80s have been around for a long time. The gimmicky name, kind of cool. Actually, you know what? There's a disappointment. What the fuck ever happened to the Yeet cannon?
They make it.
They don't.
Yeah, they make
Not
it,
the one.
but they don't.
No.
Not the one
All
that
they did
Yeet-
was laser engrave their original YC9 before.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah. That's what they
They
do.
never made the
never
new
actually
one.
made it.
They, yeah, they just
That was
have a
that was it.
weird
They,
one.
they were just they were just hyping a rebranding.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's vaporware is what it is. It's Duke Nukem Forever is what it
Oh, yeah,
ended up
yeah.
being.
Hey, that actually got released.
It's like a
after
new
12
COD
years.
skin.
Yeah, but
It's a new
nobody-
Call of Duty skin.
Like bragging that Duke Nukem Forever finally came out would be like bragging that you're dating a fat chick. It's like,
least-
yeah, it
at least
finally
you're
came
dating
out,
someone.
but you're not proud of it.
No, I'm not proud of it at all. But the point is, it actually got released, and I was actually able to get the pre-order.
Yeah, but it only took like 10 years.
Yeah, well, that's how long ago I pre-ordered it.
But you know what's funny?
Yeah.
To be perfectly fair, there is a Dark Horse video game that's about to overtake Duke Nukem Forever by leaps and bounds. Go
Bullshit.
look up how much money Star Citizen has raised,
Oh god.
Oh yeah, like
Yeah.
and it is
raised, like, 300
still
million or
not
something.
publicly out there for everybody yet.
It's still not there yet. No.
And how long have they been doing that? 6 years now?
Oh,
It's
oh shit!
fastly catching
I'm
it. It's
thinking
going to
of the wrong
surpass.
game.
It's going to break all vaporware records in history. Like even Flippy, I think he said he spent 5 figures worth of pre-orders and early access donations for that game because he likes it as much as I like it. I believe in that Chris Roberts universe. I think that's what his name is. But
Okay, so
Yeah.
they raised $400 million of
Yeah, Duke
in,
Nukem Forever
They
didn't raise 1/5 that.
they
1/10
pretty
that.
much got their triple A budget right there. Where
and
it's
and also they also received another 63.25 million in investment. So
Yeah.
like that's like a 460
You're half $1 billion
game.
in and you still don't have a product.
yeah, I know.
It's
Hey, Sean,
insane.
I've got just the standard pre-order from that too. So
Mhm.
because why not? I mean, I love Star Citizen.
When
Not
did
Star
they
Citizen,
start
but,
development of this? 2010?
I love Starlancer and I loved Freelancer, which Chris Roberts did. So
I loved Wing Commander Privateer to death.
Wing
and-
Commander was good too.
And Privateer 2 was a bit of a letdown for me just because of how it graphically was laid out. But Star Citizen fixed all that. And yet, where is it? Like, I gave up... You're right, it was like 2010, right? I gave up World of Warcraft for more than a decade ago. Because I was like, nope, I'm going to do Star Citizen. It's going to cost me about the same amount of money. I really like that better. I gave up EVE Online because I didn't like... I didn't like the research branch in that game because you would have to research a certain type of starship that took like 64 days to finish, and you had to pay 2 months of subscription just waiting on that. Fuck that.
EVE Online is free now, dude. I think.
Because it's
Not really.
yeah, it is and it isn't. It has pay windows just like Wargaming's.
It's pay to win, more or less.
Oh, I should probably mention this. If you have a Wargaming account and you have World of Warships or World of Tanks or whatever, just log into your account because they gave away super containers. So you might end up with a free year premium or some super premium shit that you would have had to pay $100 for before. I got 3 of them this morning and I thought, now I didn't get anything. I got 14 days of premium and a bunch of flags or whatever for warships. But,
I got a bail, guys. I'll catch y'all later.
all right, Tony.
Hey.
Okay, see ya.
Thanks for coming. But anyway, the point is they're giving away free stuff that used to cost a lot of money because their game has been out for 10 years. So if you have a 10-year-old account like I do, there's some really nice stuff. Like I got 4 or 5 tanks that people can't buy that they gave away because I have a 10-year-old account, which is for sale, by the way, because I don't play the game anymore, but it's probably worth at least $5,000 worth of stuff. Anyway, there's that. Okay, so we did the Trailblazer Pack 9. We did the PSAK 556, which is a 103 style rifle.
Did you hear what's going on in Rhode Island?
No.
Rhode Island?
Yeah, apparently, I think the Attorney General or one of the one of the people in the government has called on one of the credit card
Citibank.
companies- yeah, one of the credit card companies to stop allowing people to buy 8%.
Huh. Well, now they're
Because
controlling
they-
what you can buy by denying your charges.
And by the way, doing that is actually against your right to commerce.
Yeah.
under the Commerce Act.
Yeah, well, it'll be fought and argued on that, but in the meantime, there will not be a stay because it is in our favor for a stay. And anything that's in a favor of a gun right is usually denied. Anything that's a
Well, it's
stay
like-
for anti-gunner is always granted. It's really annoying.
It's like Jared said. Bet on Citibank being greedy and wanting you to spend money.
Oh yeah, of course. All right, so is there any other guns that we're looking forward to for 2022? Because I can't really think of any other ones.
Yeah. And
Go ahead.
This is gonna be awful. But Sean, did you hear that whoever bought Bushmaster is going to start releasing ACRs again?
I heard that they were going to release a new 450 Bushmaster rifle, but I didn't know about the ACR coming back.
They're going to restart production of the ACR.
That'd be fine. I'm okay with that.
And if they can do it at a reasonable price, I probably would get one.
But is that something
That's
that's going to make it to SHOT Show this year?
I don't know if it's going to make it to SHOT Show. That's right.
See, because I'm looking at the list of potential guns that are going to be there right now.
They made a statement. Bushmaster made him a statement, a few months ago, saying they're going to start producing ACRs again, and
So it's possible they could have a prototype brought up there then.
it's possible they could have a prototype or at least one of the pre-production ones up.
Well, the other thing that's coming out this year is it's the 20th anniversary of Magnum Research's BFR, and they have a 20th anniversary edition 4570 BFR with a crowned octagonal barrel that's engraved from stem to stern. It's, as a work of art, it's very pretty. As a practical firearm,
You wouldn't want to shoot it.
no. I mean, as a practical firearm in terms of cost, you can shove it up your ass. Because
Right.
for the amount of money that they're asking for that, you could buy a Logo Alien with all the accessories and still have $2,000 left over for ammo. The BFR is $7,200. Go fuck yourself. Not taking it. Sorry. Bad enough that I have to pay over $1,000 for a Lebel, and I have to pay over $1,000 for a Cop 357 Derringer these days. Don't even get me started on what night guards cost, which apparently Yankee finally discovered those, even though they've been out of production for 15 years. But now he's got one. But whatever.
Well, I want a
think-
revolver that's hard as hell to get in the United States because they really import them.
Is it the Stechkin OTS 38?
No, it's not the Stechkin, it's the Italian.
Oh, I want the Stechkin because it's suppressed.
It's the what is it? The Utica 6.
Yeah. Oh, I wrote Chiappa years ago, and I'm like, you made the Rhino, which is a bit like a copy of a Mateba, but the guy who designed it is the guy who designed the Mateba. And I'm like,
Yeah, but that's
why have you not designed a Unica 6 clone of some sort?
Because they can't.
I don't know. What I do know
They
is
don't own the rights to it.
I
That's
want
the problem.
a Mateba in 454 Casull.
So do I. That's the one I wanted.
I would love to have a Mateba in 454 Casull, but you thought Logo Aliens are expensive.
Yeah, the Unica 6. I wanted one, either in 454 Casull, or didn't they also do them in 44?
Yeah, 44, 45, and 454.
I thought they did them in 357 mag too.
Yes,
Yeah,
they do.
But I wanted one either 454 or 444 just because.
Because technically, the Unica 6s are still being made.
Are they?
They
Yeah,
just don't import them to the U.S. If
Yeah.
you
That
want,
sucks.
you can import one yourself.
But at that
You're not going to like
point,
the fucking price, though.
at that point, you're paying like, no offense, but you're paying like probably $6,000 to $7,000.
So this is what we do.
Yeah.
This is what we do. We go on to the AK Files forums, and we start a group buy for Matebas. And we secure 300 people who want one. We don't ask for a dime for deposit. We present the list. Mateba will agree to it. And then Copper Customs can sweep in and screw everybody.
I was waiting for that. I saw where you were going with that.
I think you meant Tim from Copper Customs.
We can do that. Let's do that. So we can have a flood of Matebas that nobody's going to be able to buy. And then we can just blame Copper Customs.
So Copper Customs can release them one at a time on Gunbroker.
Exactly.
Which, have you checked their gunbroker account? Because ever since that debacle started, they have not sold a thing. They haven't even listed anything anymore.
Because
No,
like everyone
because
like
every time they
falls-
try,
Yeah.
all the trolls fucking just
Bid it
them
up to like $10
insane.
million.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they gave up. Basically, Copper Customs no longer exists on gunbroker.
For all intents and purposes.
serves them right for what they did.
All right. Well, I guess we'll go to the final segment because we ran for 3 freaking hours. So what are you doing for the rest of the New Year's weekend?
Not really. Like, I work nowadays, and I am trying to do translation nowadays because like I don't really like my job right now. So yeah, like in the weekends, like I really just stay at home and rest.
Super exciting
I'm
weekend.
tired. I'm tired to do anything else.
Scott's
What
doing the
kind of
range
family?
thing tomorrow, but what are you doing today?
I'm just sitting around actually right now,
All right. Night Strike?
playing with my 12.5 inch upper.
I'm thinking about maybe going down to either PSA or the local trade shop to see if they've got any ammo and
They're probably not open New Year's Day.
Possibly.
possibly, but if I'm gonna check anyways.
I mean, you
If
could
not-
give them a call, I guess.
If not, I'll probably just go shoot what I've got in the backyard.
So,
Oh, you can shoot in your backyard.
yeah, he's
That's
one of the
cool.
lucky few. I
Yeah.
could too, but I don't think my neighbors would appreciate it.
No, they wouldn't. They wouldn't.
Because the
It
only
depends on
backstop
if
I
you
have
like
is
their
a,
little dogs or not.
I have a backyard range and 30 acres of just nothing.
I have a backstop of just, rotten half-inch fence boards, so I don't think they'd appreciate that too much.
And-
But I'll tell you what, they
They're
definitely get the
straight into your
message.
Neighbor's backyard.
I'll tell you, they'd get the fucking message, and I'm sick and tired of them being irresponsible, flea treating their yards. I washed 6 Yorkies yesterday. I threw out my back and my hip doing it, but I must have killed at least 600 fleas and 6 dogs. It was insane. And like, I'm afraid to let them out in the yard now to go do their particulars because they're just going to come back with 100 fleas. So I put them in a harness and I walk them out front now instead of my backyard because there's less fleas out front, even though there are feral cats walking around. Whatever.
Oh God, I got to send this to you, Sean.
So anyway,
Post this.
my weekend is consisting of I have to go to George's place later and put the hardtop on the car for the winter because I leave it at his garage. I was going to do it yesterday, but I got a bit too tipsy and I stopped. But I have to finish editing a video series that I got that Mike's, you're going to love it because he and I grew up playing the Krondor series. And I found a game that is a modern version of Betrayal at Krondor. It's called Tales of the Serengar or something like that.
Right.
That game is freaking amazing. Call of Serengar. And it looks and feels like Betrayal at Krondor, but it's more fluid and smooth. Right now it's in demo form. It's a free download on Steam. I was going to do just 2 episodes, but I managed to stretch it out to 4. So I'm going to finish editing that miniseries and try to release the first episode tonight. And then Sunday is the series finale of Kicking It Old School. So tomorrow's Kicking It Old School is going to be the last one for a couple of weeks. I'm going to take some time off of that to figure out what I want to do next. And
I got to kick you in your ass to start actually doing the video.
well, that's why I'm taking a break from the other series so we can start working on that. So I'm going to tomorrow's the last Kicking It Old School for season 1. I think I let it run 24 episodes, which is half a year. I'm frankly shocked at the fact that I've done 30 episodes of this because I didn't think anyone wanted to bother watching it, let alone hear what we have to say, but apparently we got something that works. And I do have slightly a bone to pick. Now, granted, I blindly didn't realize that I came up with something that G-Webs was already doing. But he does his 2-way week in review, and I thought, oh, damn, he beat me to it. But, we call ours the week in review. But wouldn't you know it, for the last couple of weeks, all of a sudden, like, every other channel that I watched started doing week or year in review, and I'm like, what are you guys doing? You have your own format already. Anyway, point is, I'm going to start playing this, because it's 3 hours already. I'm going to thank you all for watching, and thank my panelists for all being here. I want to remind you that if you want to join the show or my server, email me in the link below. Also, if you want to participate in this year's Celebrity Death Pool 2022, make sure you email me if you're not part of my server, topic Celebrity Death Pool 2022. Give me 11 names, tell me which one's your wild card. I will add you to the list and you will be part of the competition. The deadline for that is today, because we already had 1 death and that blew my mind. So get your entries in today and I will put you in. Night Strike, you can join too. Just leave your name, your list of 10 in the Celebrity Death Pool channel, which you should see just below Weekend Review, Show Prep, and all that stuff. So anyway, get those in. Thanks for watching. We'll probably see you next week. Why not? Later.